Want to enjoy free-to-air digital TV with crystal clear quality? Here's how to get started with Signet. Step 1. If you have a smart TV, you're good to go. Next, connect the aerial to your TV. Now, do an auto search on your TV. Just follow the prompts on the screen. And that's it. You're now tuned in to Signet. Sit back and enjoy a wide range of free-to-air digital channels. For technical inquiries, call the Signet hotline on 0770 572 65.
Happy New Year. This is the 5th of 2026. Karibu nisema 2025.
Get to the program. Get with the program.
It's the first show of the year. Welcome. How has the holidays treated you? But I hope you have spent your time well. Welcome to the program. My name is Mike Migwi. I'm not alone. The team is here. Vivian, Happy New Year. And how was your Christmas holiday?
Happy New Year, Mike. Happy New Year, Marie. And a Happy New Year to each and every one of you who is our viewer. We are glad that you are here with us. You know, it's a new year. How my holidays were, they were really, really amazing. It was a good time, you know, with family and all. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel it like it really flew past us. Like 1 minute we were on holiday and then the next year here we are. But
I thought I was alone. I don't know about you, Bari, but the holiday
it's flown actually. But for me, I think I was in working mode because we worked over the Christmas holiday really. And then just a week ago, we took a break for 1 week, and then we are back. So I feel like I've just been on work mode, actually. Not necessarily like a holiday. Took a break, yes. But the holiday has flown so fast. Sometimes I'm wondering which one has become shorter. Is it the day or the night? Such that, you know, time is really moving very fast. Yeah, but
you know what they say? Time really moves fast when you're having fun.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yes.
When you're busy.
And when it comes to realities of life, it waits for no one. So whatever you have to do, you must take good advantage of the time that you have. You know, today I'm not going to start with a quote because a new year is a new beginning. But I'm going to interest you with I'm going to quote the Bible today.
All right.
I'm quoting Isaiah 43, 18 to 19. And I will read, "Forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. See, I am going to do a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." It's all about starting anew. Forget about the mistakes of 2025 and start anew. Exactly.
They say it's like you've been handed over a clear or blank page. You know, it's now up to you to start writing afresh your story.
Indeed.
You know, so do it afresh this time round. And in line with that, today being a Monday, we usually have family check right here on Good Morning Kenya, and our topic of conversation will be New Year mental preparedness. Just how prepared are you for the new year, mentally speaking? Are you the kind who's now sitting down writing your resolutions now? Did you already do that by the end of last year? Just how prepared are you mentally to take over this brand new year that has just begun, that is the year 2026? We'll be talking about that, and I'll be joined on set by one Joshua Karanja, who is a trainer and a mentor. We'll also have Cleopa Njiro, who is a counseling psychologist, as well as Mike, who's a trainer, mentor, and the CEO Pro Mentors Africa. You definitely want to stay tuned for that conversation that will be coming your your way at 9 a.m. Mike, I'm sure you'll be talking politics.
Oh yes, politically speaking, you know, a lot has been happening, and even as we enter 2026, of course, we'll see shifting political alliances, matters to do with economic pressures, and also what you'd say positioning for 2027. So what does 2026 mean politically for the country? That is the direction that we are going to take. And in studio, I will be joined by Peter Mutua Mutuku, who is a governance and leadership expert, Jacob Omondi, who is a lawyer and political strategist, Kennedy Obuya, who is a UDA chairman, Homa Bay County, and also Kevin Osido, who is the executive director, County Governance Watch. That is a conversation that will be coming to you exactly after the news. Marie.
Indeed, thank you very much, Mike and Vivian. I have a different view, you know, sitting on a clean slate, or are you seeing the glass half full or half empty? You know, for me, that's the way I look at it. Because whatever experiences you could have had in 2025, you just build on that. So it's either there are lessons or you're building further, you know. So no mistakes in life, there are only lessons. That's my principle normally in life.
Yeah.
Like, there are no mistakes.
Yeah.
The only thing is to learn the lesson from whatever it is that you thought was not working for you. So it's time just to build up on what you had. It's never wasted time.
And actually,
you know?
might I add?
So, but looking forward to the best year ever.
Yes.
You know, 2026. And the goal always is to be better, you know, in everything that you do. Be a better person to yourself first, and then to others. So for me, I'm looking forward to a very bright year, of course.
Marie, if I may buttress what you've said,
yes,
I think it can be summarized in one statement. The biggest mistake you can make is never to learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, it's true.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, they say the first time is not a mistake, but if you do it the second time, then if you do it the third time, then that's a habit.
It's a pattern.
And actually, a habit is if you say, this is me, I get angry, you know, you're choosing because you're aware, you know. Something you're not aware of, a habit you're not aware of, but the minute you get aware, you become aware of it, then it's a choice you're making. It's no longer a mistake anymore.
That's true.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Mike and Vivian. Thank you also for making the time for us this morning. Of course, the school term has begun, So most of public schools will be opening today. And I think the school term is running all the way to April. So there is a lot of activity as far as the schools are concerned. Also, it was not a very good Christmas, or at least holiday for some people. Remember the collapse of the building in South Sea. You know, they're still working on retrieving. I think there was one more body that they were still searching for. So there are those people who are still in mourning, and we really feel for them at this hour and this time of the year. They're beginning the year with a lot of stress and all that. So I'd bring you up to speed with all that in the news this morning, and we begin right there in South Sea, where one body has been recovered from the rubble of a collapsed building in South Sea, Nairobi, as search operations enter the final stages. Cabinet Secretary for Public Service Geoffrey Ruku, flanked by leaders from Marsabit and Nairobi counties, have assured affected families that the government will meet all funeral and medical costs, even as investigations into the cause of the collapse nears completion. Now, meanwhile, Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja is demanding the return of prosecutorial powers against rogue developers.
Search teams continued to work day and night at the site of a 14-story building which collapsed in South Sea, Nairobi, with the government saying operations are now about 70% complete, with safety remaining the top priority. Speaking at the site Sunday afternoon, Cabinet Secretary for Public Service Geoffrey Ruku confirmed that one unidentified male adult was recovered this afternoon.
The necessary procedures, including identification and further processing by the relevant authorities, are currently underway in line with the established protocols.
There is another young man down there. I hope and wish in the next maybe an hour or two, that body also should be recovered.
The CS assured Kenyans that the government remains fully committed to accounting for all victims and bringing the operation to a safe conclusion. The government has pledged to meet all mortuary, medical and burial costs for the affected families and warned that anyone found culpable will face the law once investigations are concluded.
Of course, we know there was a stop order as per the August 11 of 2025. We know the Nairobi City government officials came to do supervision sometimes in March, and there is one who was thrown from Dandifro and he broke his leg and he was in hospital for quite some time. All these crimes committed, those who are concerned will pay.
Leaders who accompanied the CS, including Nairobi Women Representative Esther Passaris, called for strict enforcement of building regulations and accountability.
So I would just want to say that as a government, we are giving our best and doing our best through His Excellency, who has even sent his condolences, and we have just passed his message.
To the contractors out there, don't think that this will not happen to your building if you cut corners. And to Nairobi County, I think it's time for the work that you do to be taken a bit more seriously. We cannot have buildings that are marked X that have been condemned a year ago still continuing.
Speaking separately, Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja, who also toured the site, defended the county government's role, stating that the building had received statutory approvals but admitted enforcement challenges once developments are approved.
Now, we wrote and I instructed the county secretary in 2023 to write to the Architectural Association, to the Engineers Association, because what happens, some rogue developers, and this could be one of them, they only use the professionals to get an approval. Once you get the approval, anajenga tu na foreman, ongeza hapa, pandisha hapa, badilisha, which is wrong.
He, however, assured residents that the county will push for prosecution of all culpable parties, including developers, contractors, and professionals involved.
We want those prosecutorial powers back. So we'll be, and I've spoken to the DCI, that, let us not have that story. The same thing happened when we were in Kasarani in 2022, where that building collapsed, which had been an enforcement notice. NC had put an X, the county had put an X, they continued building, they would come at night, and that cat and mouse game makes you lose out.
President William Ruto has warned of stern action against those who are still in possession of illegal firearms, directing that they surrender them to the police or church leaders, while in Kerio Valley for an interdenominational Thanksgiving for peace after years of banditry and cattle rustling conflicts. The head of state said the government would use all resources at its disposal to ensure all illegal guns are surrendered back to the state.
President Ruto on Sunday joined residents of Chesombur in West Pokot, part of a Kerio Valley, in a Thanksgiving service for peace. The president said he was happy that peace had been restored along the Kerio Valley thanks to the collaboration between the security agencies and residents.
In a very special way, that today in Kerio Valley, we have witnesses, we have testimonies of what God has done through our administration to restore peace, stability, and the unity of the people of this Kerio Valley.
While appreciating the hard work of security agencies in the area, President Ruto noted that consistency, planning and strategy had aided peace restoration, which will now be a catalyst for development, trade and investment.
Mimi nafurahi sasa sehemu hii mambo ya stock theft imeisha. Mimi sasa nawaambia hii Januari tunauza hisa ya kampuni ya Kenya Pipeline. Kujeni sasa mununue shares ile stock exchange. Kwa sababu mmewachana na hii stock theft. Sasa kujeni tufanye stock exchange.
But the president was quick to issue a warning to those still in possession of illegal guns in the area, asserting government's resolve to mop up all firearms in the wrong hands.
Kila mtu mwenye bado wako na bunduki, na wewe si polisi, na uko na bunduki kwako, my friend, please harakisha, lete bunduki, patia kwa bishop, patia kwa polisi. Usipofanya hivyo, we are going to come for it. Tutakuja kuchukua hiyo bunduki, na tukikuja kuchukua hiyo bunduki utakipata.
Hakuna amani itapatikana Kenya, kwa sehemu yote ya Kenya, kama bunduki bado iko katika mkono ya mwananchi ambaye hafai kuwa na bunduki. Hata tukiongea mama ya amani hapa, muniite baraza miangapi. Mimi nimewahi kuwa senator kwa hii region. Haiwezekani kuongea na mtu mwenye ako bunduki.
To boost the peace efforts, the president announced key development projects that include infrastructure development and improved access to water for domestic use and irrigation.
Ile kitu mimi nawauliza viongozi wa hapa na viongozi wa sehemu hii yote, jameni, nawauliza tushirikiane na tufanye kazi pamoja. Interest yetu kama viongozi isizidi interest ya wananchi ambao wametupatia nafasi ya kuwaongoza.
Once more, Ruto tore into the opposition, challenging them to account for years they served in government.
3 things are going to be very important for us to move Kenya forward. Every leader must have, number 1, a track record. Number 2, they must have a plan. And number 3, they must tell us how they are going to achieve it.
Later, President Ruto inspected construction works on the 15 billion shillings worth Barpelo-Tot-Marich Bus Road.
Now, after days of quiet streets and closed shops, Nairobi is coming back to life again. The festive calm is giving way to the familiar rhythm of a working city as commuters, traders and family ease back into their routines. From bus stages, that is, to school supply shops, the message is clear: the holiday is over and the normal life is returning. Aaron Marie visited different sectors and compiled this report.
At one of Nairobi's busiest bus terminals, travelers are ready to their normal routines as they return to the city from upcountry. The crowds are smaller compared to the festive rush, but the urgency is unmistakable. Passengers say the mood has shifted to calmer and more organized as people refocus on work, school, and the responsibilities of the new year.
Kulingana na services hapa, fare imerudi tu normal. Gari zinabeba tu according to the capacity yenye inahitajika. Hakuna inconveniences ziko mali. So, sisi tuko tu sawa.
Drivers and transport operators confirm the transition. Traffic volumes are rising steadily, and with more vehicles returning to the roads, they are urging fellow drivers to prioritize safety over speed. This comes as authorities warn that the post-holiday travel period remains risky.
Ningeongea kwa madereva wenzangu, haijalishi ni kampuni gani, lakini tukue waangalifu barabarani kwa sababu wengine hawako waangalifu, na ningeomba ndio tuweze ku maintain customers wetu.
Sasa hata magari mabovu, biashara ikinoga, huwa tu wanaweka magari barabarani. Mtu mwingine pia anahesabu zile ruti ameenda. Sasa hata mtu amechoka hajapumzika, ana lazima tena apangiwe ruti nyingine aende. Hizo ndio husababisha maisha kupotea mengi, maana uchovu wa mwili na uchovu wa magari hayapati muda wa kuenda kwa service.
But not everyone is smiling. Along Nairobi streets, photographers and informal traders say business has slowed sharply as priorities shifted.
Last year festive season was amazing. People spend a lot of money, but when it came to January, I don't know, ni sola ama ni mfuko imekata, but everything will be good.
Hapa saa nao kumekauka, unaona watu wanajipanga issue na school fees. Ndio msimamisha anafikiria apige picha ama ni school fees. Hata vile wanarudi hivi saa hakuna mboga, unaona tumetulia tu.
In shopping areas, parents move quickly through crowded stores, buying uniforms, books, and stationery. With schools reopening, many say finances are stretched, but hope remains high that the year ahead will bring stability.
Rushing, so the price has to be a bit up compared to last year. So maybe even if I can tell the other parents, it's always good to do things earlier rather than the rush hour.
Business owners describe a slow but steady return to normal trading after the festive peak in early January lull.
Tuna expect biashara yetu anze kufungua kuanzia next week on Wednesday. Ndio itaanza kufungua. Lakini sasa hii wakati wa rush, sasa hii ni wakati wa wazazi wanachukua viatu za shule.
Outside of Nairobi, major highways and bus terminals across the country are experiencing increased activities. As December holiday activities come to an end, a surge in travelers has been recorded nationwide. In Mombasa and other major towns, passengers have thronged bus stations only to face vehicle shortages, double fares and long waiting hours, piling pressures on families already grappling with tough economic conditions.
Hii usafiri imekuwa ghali sana kwa sasa. Kwa maana tunaona kama juzi travel kutoka Kitale hadi hapo, unaona ni 4,000. Kwa mwananchi hiyo ni bei ghali sana.
Tulikuwa tuondoke saa 8:15, kwa sasa gari hajafika na itafika kuchelewa. Tunaomba tu waende kwa mwendo pole, wasilete ajali barabarani.
Transport operators say they are taking steps to enhance safety, ensuring vehicles are roadworthy and drivers are well rested. Some travelers have praised NTSA and police road safety campaigns, noting the visible persons in highways. As the festive season comes to an end, the city is slowly coming back to normal.
The city is indeed back to normal. All Saints Cathedral Provost Evans Omolo has called upon the government to consider extending reporting dates for grade 10 learners by 2 weeks. The provost says that the church has received numerous complaints by congregants who say they need more time to navigate the uncertainties around the placement. Some of the parents have complained of female learners being placed in boys' schools and vice versa, hence the need to apply for further review.
Inaugural grade 10 class is set to report to the respective senior schools on the 12th of January 2026 for the start of the academic year. However, the uncertainty surrounding placement to schools has caught the attention of the church, with the clergy now intervening on behalf of parents.
There has been quite a lot of problems in the placement of students joining grade 10 around issues of boys placed in girls' schools and girls placed in boys' schools and others placed in locations that are undesirable or difficult for the parents to manage.
Provost Omolo is urging the Ministry of Education to consider extending the reporting dates for grade 10 to give parents and learners more time to get placement for their children and adequately prepare.
The CS for Education considers extending the period for reporting of grade 10 pupils by, at best, 2 more weeks to allow parents to navigate the murky waters of placement and switching of schools.
The Ministry of Education had announced that the window for further review of placement will be reopened from the 6th to 9th of January 2026.
We want to ask the Cabinet Secretary to further consider re-evaluating and redesigning the process of managing requests for replacements to other schools, which unfortunately is being done on the portal, which is jammed, is not working, declining. If in the interim, to manage the ongoing crisis, head teachers and heads of institutions could be allowed to make those changes when parents go to apply for replacements, that would then mitigate the crisis we have.
According to a statement by the Ministry of Education on the 30th of December 2025, a total of 355,457 learners had applied for review of placement. Out of this number, 211,636 applications were approved. However, 143,821 were declined due to a number of reasons, including absence of preferred subject combinations or the lack of capacity in the selected schools.
And most parents in Kajiado County are struggling to raise school fees and other necessities, with their livestock unable to fetch good prices due to decreased purchasing power. Some of the parents who appeared at the markets in the area with their livestock lamented that the prices have dropped from the previous 100,000 shillings for a mature cow to as low as 20,000 shillings. They attribute the situation to the long drought in the area and a rise in the cost of living.
One of the livestock markets in Kajiado County. Livestock farmers are here to sell their livestock in anticipation to the reopening of schools this Monday. But the situation has left them distressed.
Tunapofungua shule, tunalia kama wazazi. Tunalia kwa sababu ng'ombe ndio tegemeo la wakaaji wa Kajiado. Lakini kwa msimu kama hii shule zikifunguliwa, tunalia maana bei iko chini na itabaki kwamba watoto wengi hawataweza kwenda shule.
Hatujui kama watoto wataenda shule. Watoto hawezi enda shule juu mang'ombe ziko chini. Bei kumechuka kabisa, kiangazi natusumbua. Kwa hivyo hatuoni kama watoto wataweza fungua shule tarehe 5 ndio inafunguliwa kesho.
The persistent drought and poor purchasing power due to the high cost of living has pushed down the prices of a mature cattle from a whooping of 100,000 shillings to only around 20,000 shillings.
Tuko hapa sokoni na vile tunavyoshuhudia mambo ya soko haiendi vile, maana bei ya ng'ombe imeteremka kabisa. Haswa siku ya leo unaiona kwamba wanunuzi hawako katika soko.
Wakati ilikuwa na kiangazi nilikuwa na ng'ombe 46. Sasa zimekufa na kiangazi, imebaki na ng'ombe 17. Sasa ninaona ni mbaya wakati huu kwa sababu hata ile bei ambayo nilikuwa natarajia kuuza haiendi.
Concerns have also been raised about a drop in learners resuming studies, with the pastoralist communities having relocated to neighboring counties in search of pasture and water. The parents are now calling on the Ministry of Education to reduce the fees in public schools.
Langu la kwa serikali ninaomba waangalie wananchi kwa sababu area ni mbaya. Biashara ni mbaya, wananchi wanaumia, watoto wanaenda shule kilio, kwa hivyo naomba serikali waangalie area.
A look at sports now, where Kenyan tennis star Angela Okutoi produced a stunning performance on home soil to win the ITF W35 Nairobi title after defeating Italy's Martina Colmena 6-3, 3-6, 6-3 in a pulsating final played on Sunday. Rode on by a vocal home crowd, the 21-year-old Kenyan, a former junior Grand Slam champion, made a confident start by breaking Colmena's serve twice to take the opening set 6-3. Colmena, however, responded strongly in the second set, raising her level and exploiting unforced errors from the Kenyan to claim the set 6-3 and force a decider. Now, in the decisive third set, Okutoi makes depth with well-timed winners to keep Colmena at bay before sealing the match 6-3.
Of course, this match is one of my goals. I wanted to win this match so bad because I've always lost in the finals, especially in the 25K. So this match, I just told myself to go play my best, and that's what I did, and I'm just happy for the win. And I was also doing for my aunt Cynthia.
Tough match. She's a very good player, and she played very good. I didn't play my best, but was tough in this condition with all the people against you. But anyway, it was a good match.
And Duncan Omala struck twice as Nairobi United registered an impressive 3-1 victory over Shabana FC in a in the Football Kenya Federation FKF League match that was played on Sunday afternoon at the Egusi Stadium. Omala opened the scoring for the Nai boys in the 18th minute before Enoch Mashaga added a second to make it 2-0. Omala scored his second of the match and a third for Nairobi United before Shabana scored one during stoppage time to make it 3-1. Following the win, Nairobi United now sits on the 9th position on the table with 19 points, while Shabana remain 4th with 23 points. In other results, Samuel Some's lone goal helped FC Leopards claim a 1-0 win over Bidco United.
Lakini roho umeipata my boys. Hospitalini kupata matibabu. Sasa na nafasi ya kucheka na nyamu kwa mara nyingine.
And we've come to the end of the bulletin this morning. As always, thank you for your time and your company. My name is Marie Yambo, wishing you all the best in this year 2026.
Want to enjoy free-to-air digital TV with crystal clear quality? Here's how to get started with Signet. Step 1. If you have a smart TV, you're good to go. Next, connect the aerial to your TV. Now, do an auto search on your TV. Just follow the prompts on the screen. And that's it. You're now tuned in to Signet. Sit back and enjoy a wide range of free-to-air digital channels. For technical inquiries, call the Signet hotline on 0770-572-65.
Unajua the first rule of hospitality? Wakati mwingine vizuri kuangalia. Wacha kuita mimi kama wacha kunigonga kala nguvu bwana unaniumiza. Kamba unanifurudia nini?
Peleka kisirani yako huko. Wewe, ni nani unazugumanisha hivyo?
Tuungane na mimi bwana. Ati? Si nilikoteza hii mchezo ya watoto waacha bwana.
Tusikosane na vitu ndogo ndogo tafadhali.
Wahenga wanasema. Wahenga walituachia namba ya simu. Hadi tafadhali yake kwa nini umenifuta kazi?
Jamani.
You're well within the first hour of Good Morning Kenya. Happy New Year once again. This is Good Morning Kenya. This is Eye on Politics. And of course, you know, 2025 has been a very eventful year in the political space. And even as such, we have to see what 2026 holds in store for the country, because a lot has been happening. Even as the festivities were going on, politics were taking place alongside that. And before we get to that, I want to quickly take you through the front pages of our local dailies, what is being reported on the front page of our local dailies. And I will start with the Daily Nation. Teachers fees roar as schools reopen. Schools resume this week for the 2026 academic calendar, with disputes over fees, hiring of teachers and facilities shortage, highlighting a turbulent start to a historic transition to senior school and the competency-based education. Principals cite inadequate funds to justify calls for fees increment, but officials have cautioned against extra levies even as absorption of junior schools interns is deferred. Read that story on page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation. Outside the power, Uhuru still starting 2027 factional feuds. That story is told on page 6 of the Daily Nation. Maduro capture, how Trump is reshaping the world order. Read that story on page 14. Top civil servants reap big in 2 billion shillings pay rise. That story is told on the front page of the Daily Nation, but told in detail on page 8. Faith healing scandal, doctors watchdog cautions gullible public. Read that on page 2 of the Daily Nation. The Standard is reporting that actually it's a question on the front page of the Standard newspaper. Who's next? The arrest of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, now facing criminal charges in a New York court, has come a few days after the U.S. again on President Donald Trump's orders launched strikes in northern Nigeria following his claim that ISIS was killing Christians there and had to be stopped. The two unrelated events happening miles and days apart carry a chilling message to the African continent that the U.S. under Trump is not short of extreme measures. That on several occasions, Trump has alluded to this through his snide remarks on some African states. That story is told on page 6, 7, and 8 of the Standard newspaper. And finally, The Star is reporting 2026 hopes and fears. On the front page of the Star. Education, 1.13 million total number of students expected to transition to senior schools. 554 board schools is the fee range. There's a tabulation of different sectors within the country, and GDP growth is projected to grow by 5% in 2026. And 4.1% projected for sub-Saharan African growth. That is what is being reported on the front page of our local dailies. Already, my guests are already in studio, and on my far left is Peter Mutuku, who is a leadership expert. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. Mutua. No, Peter Mutua. Apologies for that. And you're not new to Jerusalem, Kevin Osido. Happy New Year and welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Good morning to you, sir, and Happy New Year. You know, when you mentioned Jerusalem, it reminds me about Christmas.
Yes.
And now we're in the 5th of January 2026.
Yes.
The year of hope and a new beginnings. We want to great beginnings and hope despite the standards fears.
Yes.
But boldness should be hopeful.
Yes. Indeed. And Kennedy Obuya, who is the UDA chairman, Homa Bay County. Karibu sana to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Mike.
Yes.
Good morning, citizens of the Great Republic of
Kenya. Karibu sana.
And Happy New Year.
Yes. And Wakili Jacob Omondi, who is a lawyer and a political strategist. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Mike.
Yes.
Good morning to citizens and welcome to the show.
It's been a minute since you've been on Good Morning Kenya.
Yeah, but I thank God that I'm here today.
Yes. Yeah. Before we even get into our today's conversation, I just want to get a feel of what stood out for each and every one of you during the holidays. I'll start with you, Mr. Peter. What stood out for you during the holidays?
Well, as usual, because of the nature of my work. I was working. The only difference that I noticed last year is that the number of people who usually travel up country, we had so many people in this city. It's like everybody won't go home for whatever reason. I don't want to speculate, but it was as usual, because for the last 5-7 years, I've always been on duty while other people go home, making sure that the city is run properly, making sure that speculators don't spoil it for professionals.
Yes. Kennedy, what stood out for you before we come back to Osido?
Oh, thank you so much. Being that for the last 3 years I've been actively residing in the countryside in Homa Bay and Kisumu regions, I've been privileged this time around in 5 years. I spent my entire holiday from the 22nd to date in Nairobi with my family. At least I enjoyed the ambience, the peaceful transition of 2025, 2026. There were no major incidences reported in Nairobi other than the isolated, sad story of South Sea, the building that collapsed. Nairobi was generally very peaceful, and I'm grateful to God that at least I found some little moment to spend with the family. So as much as politics and so much also was on the sides were happening. I just want to record that it's sad, the sentiment that was meant with a very negative energy to profile and label a community that I come from by my good friend Rigiji in one of the burials that was conducted over the weekend. I think the mother of my good friend Gakuya over the weekend. I think that was uncalled for, and as a leader from that community, I strongly condemn that, and I pray that moving forward as a community, Kenyans, we have a serious good diversity, and that is our strength. We should not profile and have the lens on people based on where they come from and their tribe. So that is one of the incidences that I cited and I condemn. Yes.
Wakili?
For me, I think what stood out for me was the act, the generous act of Mheshimiwa Oscar Sudi to his two staffs, aides. I think he gifted them houses each. That was a very good, example to coming from a leader and to his servants. And also, I think is one of those people that I saw, remember that, of course, people are not the same, and there are people who could not even afford to celebrate Christmas, and he did gift the vulnerable, Christmas donation. I really think that really that stood out for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bonakavin?
Yeah, I would probably cite two things. One is the usual exodus to Nyanza and Western, so basically Western Kenya. And this is something that some of us have really talked about, and especially with regards to the expansion of the Nairobi, Nakuru, Kericho, Kisumu highway. And we want to hope that the president will live to his words to be able to, develop that infrastructure. Because you can imagine the number of man hours that are wasted when people are in traffic, headed home. And not necessarily that people would be traveling home, but some of those would probably be caught up who are going to seek for, even health attention, medical treatment, etc., and are caught up in that kind of a traffic. So we are hoping that this probably would be the last time we are experiencing this, because His Excellency the President promised that within the next 2 years, God giving us life and strength, that should be done. And I wish to cite one officer that I interacted with, because I traveled home, and he's called the base commander at Kikopey, Wanamwarabu. This is a gentleman who paraded police officers across every stop where we normally experience traffic. And I thought that was really profound and was quite gentleman, an officer who decided to, organize his team and put them across the roads where travelers would therefore be experiencing discomfort, either through jams or people who just want to, make wrong turns. And I think that was quite heartwarming and touching. Number two is God surprised us because it's been quite dry. And during the festivities, we experienced heavy rains across the country. And it was surprising because the weatherman, of course, projected that it would experience heavy rains. But interestingly, a few weeks to months ago, farmers were crying over drought. And even as we speak right now, it is projected that between February and April, Kenyans would be experiencing drought. So we hope that when it rains, we'll be able to harvest the water and that it would be put in very proper use. I wouldn't want to get into the politics because most of our politicians, even up to the local levels, in some of the churches I attended in the village, some of my friends also invited me to their functions in their various homes. Most of our politicians misbehaved and behaved dishonorably. So as the year progresses, I hope that we'll be able to speak about such.
Indeed. Let's look at now what 2026 portends, because politics has been happening from what is going on with ODM, and even the former president saying he is free to speak his mind. Let me start with you, Mr. Peter. What do you think 2026 means for Kenya, politically speaking, now that we are very close to the general election?
You see, 2026 is a year that is very critical because we have a known and a constant that 2027 we are going to have a general election. And people had the privilege of speaking what they wanted to speak in how they wanted to speak it years before this year. But as you speak this year, 2026, you are laying the foundation of what is going to happen in 2027. So nobody has the rights and privileges to speak anyhowly. And I've said in the past that a leader is so powerful that your words carry a lot of weight. So when you speak, for example, you utter words that look tribal. The only thing that we can say is that you have remained an ordinary Homo sapien. You've decided they are not going to grow. When you see all these people that you've invited here, there is something that there are some basic qualifications that they met, that they proved to this station they have something in their head. Because all of us, we were born equally, without anything in our heads. And that is principle by psychologist John Locke from United States, United Kingdom, who said that all of us, we were born without anything in our head. And he used this term, tabula rasa, which is a Latin word meaning blank slate. So if you stand and speak like somebody who has not gone to school, not knowing the words that you speak, they carry power, and then you assume your words are powerless because you think so in your heart, not knowing the recipients of those words may use them to cause havoc in this nation. So I behoove people in this, especially leaders, across the political divide, to be careful of the words they use. If you do not have to say something, silence sometimes is more powerful than speaking words that are going to divide us. Woe unto them that keep on thinking on tribal lines. I would have asked you, who is going to be on the bench? Are we going to have a Mwangangi there or Kioko there? But that's none of my business. May my dad rest in eternal peace, because at the age of 10, I requested my dad, move me from a school that we are only speaking our mother tongue, take me to a school where I'm going to interact with other people. And that foundation up to now, I interact with all and sundry without asking them, what is your second name? And you see a leader in this nation speaking in a manner that is disparaging the behavior and characters of other people. Some of these leaders need to do some refresher course. They go back to universities and start a little bit of anthropology, because after studying a little bit of anthropology, they'll get to know why and how people behave the way they behave. And with that understanding, then you start this small thinking, small talk here and here, and I expect 2026 to be a year of powerful talk, words that mean sense, and we must make sure that as Kenyans, we are credible, and we can only be credible if we speak what we mean and mean what we speak.
Kennedy, do you think some leaders really understand this aspect that Peter has highlighted in terms of the kind of words they use, even in rallies, or whether they are doing interacting with their voters? Do they really understand? Do some leaders really understand the power of their words?
Kenya is not a banana republic. Kenya has structures of governance. These structures of governance are guided by the rule of law. We have a proper 2010 constitution. The constitution is very clear on how leaders are supposed to behave privately and in public. But I think by omission or commission, most leaders decide and choose to go overlap by misrepresenting either the communities they represent, the political parties they belong to. And I want to register that it is very regrettable that by choice, most of our leaders make very inflammatory statements that does not unite Kenyans as a people. God was not wrong to bind us as a nation. We ended up with a geographical map that was guided by the colonial influence. But God knows why. But our diversity, the many tribes that we have in Kenya, that should be our strength, because if you look at our neighbors here in Tanzania, it is very difficult to pinpoint the tribe where one also comes from. But Kenya, I think as a nation, we need a radical culture change, because historically, after independence, we have been so misled by the political elite by believing that, if my community is into leadership, then I will eat. And it is a big fallacy, because someone like me, I come from the lakeside. I've been overwhelmingly elected by majority of Kenyan tribes in a cosmopolitan ward in Nairobi. And I strongly believe that when there's hunger, when there's tragedy, it does not point on specific tribes. It cuts across, all Kenyans. And politicians should be cognizant of the realities that Kenyans, we do not need division. We need leaders. That is why I am making a serious prayer that moving forward, we are going to have, interestingly, the 2027 election is going to be an election that is we are going to have a choice as citizens, because we are going to have a transition election, that we are going to usher in new leaders. So I want to pray to the major voting bloc of the citizens, that is the Gen Z. Number one, register as voters. Get yourself national identity cards. Registered voters, and make a statement in the ballot. Elect leaders whose views unite citizens of Kenya. And I also want to condemn strongly politicians who whip emotions of their communities for personal interest. That it is high time you need to stop and change.
Exactly.
So I as a politician myself, as a leader, as a social scientist, I want to strongly condemn. Somebody said, a gentleman called Lombroso, that crime is not born, it is reborn. In the sense that there are a number of things that pushes people into criminality and extremism. If you see things like statements made by politicians and profiling a section of the nation, that pushes people and communities in that quarter to start, being in the defensive mode. You understand? To either counter or destruct. And, that kind of structures, we need to think and see how well do we unite Kenya. Because let me tell you, there's nobody who is here by default.
Yes. Allow me to cut you short so that we can take a very short break, and we'll be back to continue with this conversation. You're watching Good Morning Kenya.
Got the fear of missing out? Want to keep up with all the latest entertainment news and latest celebrity gossip? From the latest rumors to popping events to the newest fashion trends, here is where you get all the tea or juice when it comes to entertainment, and you get it served on time. All that and so much more on Grapevine every single Monday only on KBC Channel 1. Remember, if you did not see it on Grapevine, then it most probably never happened.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice,
we have to do it twice.
You're still watching Good Morning Kenya. Welcome back. We're talking about what 2026 means for Kenya, politically speaking. Wakili, it's all about, we were talking earlier on about how politicians express themselves and how important it is to mind their words. But do you see that changing in the next few months, in the coming months? And what does it mean, especially now we are entering a very, what I would call a very serious political season heading towards 2027?
Thank you, Mike. Mike, I strongly believe that if we want to fix this country, we can do so. It only requires the goodwill. We have institutions that are established to ensure that certain things are done right. I want to say that if the NCIC as a commission works the right way, then I think we'll not be talking about incitement, we'll not be talking about reckless politicians speaking, because there will be actions that are taken by the said commission, established commission. But the problem we have is the citizen, the ordinary citizens are also not willing to support some of these commissions to do their work. Because when a politician, let's say, for example, the former deputy president, goes out there and, talk those tribal rubbish, and then the community, he finds a shield, the community has a shield. Now, if, for example, we say that tomorrow is summoned by the NCIC, you'll find the community saying that, you know, Rigathi is targeted, yet is doing the wrong thing. Let us, I believe strongly that if we want to fix everything in this country, we must have the goodwill from the public. If somebody is wrong, let it be wrong, irrespective of the tribe he comes from or she comes from. Let's say that this is wrong, and let the rule of law take its course. Face your problems. We will not support you because you belong to my tribe. When you've done a wrong thing, it is a wrong thing. Then we are going to fix this nation. But the moment we start saying that when Jacob speaks rubbish, and then now my brother here is going to defend me because we are Luos, then we are not going to help this country. So the buck stops with the wananchi, because Article 1 of the Constitution, the power belongs to us. So what are we doing to ensure that Kenya is better for the future generation? Are we going to support leaders based on tribal lines? Are we going to support leaders because they are doing the right thing? That is the question that we need to ask ourselves as a country. Because look at, I always say, and I still maintain, that some leaders are not even worth being called honorable members. And it's us citizens that bring these problems to us. Because how on earth would somebody say, for example, that Rigathi Kajiado will be a presidential candidate of this country? What kind of a nation do you want to build? Yeah, these are very, you see, we have so many people. We have Didi Nyoro. If you want to, we say that Akikuyu must be a presidential candidate, then we have credible leaders. We have Didi Nyoro. We have Irungu Kangata. People you can sit here and talk about what they have done and what they continue to do. And if you bring such a candidate to us, everybody will support because they have seen their work. We are talking about track record. But what are you going to tell us? Or are you going to mobilize people around tribal because somebody knows how to abuse others than the other people? So for us to fix this country, 2026, we are coming to, you know, a very heated, we are moving into a very heated political environment. I would urge the president and, you know, people who are in charge to ensure that NCIC is empowered, is given enough resources and with good personnel to do their work the right way. And let us not have political interference. Yeah, let us give that, empower that commission and let them do their work in collaboration with the DCI and the police. And we will sort out the political incitements and reckless talks. That is my take.
Indeed. You know, what he is raising is very important because it points to accountability, taking accountability and responsibility for one's actions. But do you think also the public has failed in making sure that this accountability is taken seriously? Because on one hand, we have leaders speaking words that are not, let's use incitement, but on the other hand, we have the public, some of their supporters, cheering them on.
And Mike, that really happens purely because of our political culture. And when you have a culture where winner takes it all is the order of the day. And if you look at the manner in which we campaign in this country, generally how politics is done, it is a competition. And it's a competition where two main things, actually three. One is money. Two is the number of goons that you are able to amass. And then three is how abusive you can be. And we have some leaders in this country who have told us in the past that there is fear for Kenyans, you know, electing bad people. And some of them were called wash-wash, some of them were called thugs, some of them were called thieves. And Kenyans moved over and elected them. It's purely because of bad manners. So despite Jacob, you know, giving a lot of emphasis on institutions, most of those institutions have failed Kenyans because, you know, it is those institutions that vet the people that are given to us. Institutions such as political parties are the ones that issue, nomination certificates in certain parts of this country, like where some of us come from. That nomination certificate is the election. The moment you have, for example, an ODM ticket, you are as good as done. You're just waiting to Chamo Muma to be sworn in because the election is over. But if the process is fraudulent, the process is nasty, the process is dirty, they say, Gigo, garbage in, garbage out. And the good book for those who read, they say, you only reap what you sow. You cannot plant mangoes and you expect to reap bananas. It is not going to be possible unless you graft them, and even in grafting you have to cut some part of it. So unless those institutions are willing to graft our political leaders, and the institutions are also given power, like Jacob is saying, NCIC, since it was formed, they summon politicians, they make statements about people here. 2 minutes after these people walk out of their offices, they make alternative statements, and you ask yourself, what kind of strength do these constitutional commissions really have? And do they really have the capacity to deal with some of these issues? So the political culture that we have is one where the people that are subjected to Kenyans to vote for, either through political parties or even as independent candidates, are people who sometimes are not worth being called honorable members. And even for people who are like us, who are very like saints, we preach in churches, we go out there and we tell people, I will not abuse anyone, I am going to be like the Holy Spirit, etc. The moment we are sworn into office, you stop picking people's calls, even those who hold you accountable. People who, can call you and say, Peter, chenye umesema ni mbaya. Can you, repent over it and ask for forgiveness? And they're like, ujue wewe, sasa mimi ni mheshimiwa. Yani you cannot even acknowledge my title. So they imagine that this title is not for service delivery. Is not for making proper laws, progressive laws that are supposed to push the country forward. But that this title is supposed to be one where now you have the power to abuse people. So our institutions really must help in terms of, reining in this political culture. And that political culture is a very bad culture. Number two on accountability is citizen accountability. And this is why for many years to come, we will continue going back to two things. The 2007 post-election violence, and that very dirty history that Kenya had. And then the second thing is June 2024, That was a moment for Kenyans to reorganize and relieve their power. And politicians must not run away from that realization that this power actually rests in Kenyans. And every day, the citizens, the voters are organizing themselves. They might imagine that, Gen Z na vijana wamesema they will not register as voters. But there is something called personal energy and agency, the citizen agency that makes you realize that if you don't take action today, then there will be no tomorrow. And that is the kind of agency that I see every day, including this holiday. I saw a number of young people inviting me to go and speak to them, or we are going back to school, we are going back to campuses, and they kept asking one simple question: how can we take back our country? It means that there are people out there who are concerned about the dishonor that Kenya is being treated, the kind of negative profile that our political leaders are giving, and the global community is watching how Kenya is being run, how Kenya is being profiled, and there is a lot of interest. So this citizen agency and accountability is something that we must begin, to move over. And I saw it in the by-elections, where in some of the areas that we had the by-elections last year, citizens organized town hall vetting sessions for their leaders. Like in Homa Bay, the 11 parliamentarians were put in a hall and they were being asked very difficult questions. We must therefore begin to sign, accountability pacts. And we say that part of these pacts are the fact that if you say something against a politician, there must be certain measures and ramifications that those particular people who vote for you must be able to undertake. So those actions must exercise some sense of, of order, creating order among the political class. And then the last thing, which is a third one that I want to say, is that I am looking forward to a session and a moment when our political leaders will begin to see citizen needs as something of urgency. So that instead of wasting the airtime that you've been given in that podium, abusing somebody and creating fights and wars, Talk about the bad roads that citizens are, are going through, because it is your responsibility either to exercise oversight or to create a budget that therefore is supposed to put in the money, or to, do something to show that you are a leader who is concerned about the people. Talk about the healthcare that is not working. In certain parts of this country, SHA is still such a big challenge. Talk about agriculture, the families that are going without food, every single day. Right now, schools are opening today. Yes. Just came with my daughter here, and from here we have to go to queue and organize how education starts rather continues in her life. But very few of our political leaders will even talk about the challenges that grade 9 parents are going through, because they don't understand what it is. Yet they waste a lot of time researching on the language that is not palatable, the nasty sides of their fellow politicians, because they think that through that they can make headlines. That is not the way to make a headline. When you go out there and you talk about things that mean something to the common citizens, other than sending abuses, I believe that that will also help them, particularly moving forward to 2026. And if you listen to the president, he's already reminding people that Kenyans are not going to vote for you because of how abusive you are. Yes. We are going to look at kazi ile ambayo ushafanya, whether that work worked or it did not work. We will not look at you because of how abusive you are. But yet, Mike, interestingly, that is a kind of context that our political culture has created, that we don't vote for you because of what you can do or what you have done, but we rather vote for you because of how abusive, how dirty, and how wishy-washy you can be. Quite
exactly.
A sad state.
And actually, I wanted to ask Mr. Peter, pegging on what Osido has said, what do Kenyan voters reward, really? Is it popularity, euphemism, euphoria, or service delivery?
I will borrow from all these intelligent men. I'll start with Omondi. Omondi said something to this effect, that it is very shameful that when a certain person from a certain region, when they are on wrong, it's like the entire community is being attacked. That is archaic, so to speak. And coming to my brother, the way he displayed and talked about politics and the way we should be, focused and reasonable without being moved by tribal emotions. And coming back to my brother here, the way he's talking about not focusing on the important thing, then it narrows down that we elect vanity. And we ask ourselves, are we going to win? Then vanity will ask, is it popular? Instead of asking ourselves, is it morally right? Because what is morally right today is going to be politically correct tomorrow. The problem that we have is that we do not focus on important things. And then the other major problem is that citizens are not allowed space to speak their minds. When they speak their minds, gangs from one of the political leaders or one of the person looking for elective position, his gangs start attacking people. And then when people are attacked, as he says, people create defensive mechanism. The emergency of militia groups starts with one person. When you say things in such a manner that you're looking down on other tribes. So people or young men or wise men, so to speak, from those communities will tend to start building defense mechanism, which results to creating a militia group, because there are no rules and regulations that are laid in a certain book on how to form a community defensive army. So as a result of that, you find that there is a group of people allied to a certain region in this nation. I don't want to mention their names. And then the emergency gives birth to other groups in other regions, and people start fighting. When we reach to a point that it is reason that we are going to use to do campaigns and do politics, where we are going to ask ourselves all the times, is it morally right to describe somebody based on their traditional practices or based on their region? Like, for example, because for lack of a better example, There was a time in the the year 2000, and there was a child that was certified insane, went somewhere in Kitui town, and in that insanity, he found carcass of a dog. The boy ate. Then everybody in this country was making fun. People from that community eat dogs. When we make such kind of remarks, people start now trying to prove to other people, and it may turn violence, because you start verbal exchange, then it grows to physical exchange, and then you have casualties. Sometimes you must have heard that there are people in this nation who are fond of withdrawing or trying to use their firearms whenever they are provoked, you know. Most citizens don't have the privilege. And like now, with the community I come from, we are not allowed to come to this city with our bows and arrows. We are not allowed. So if somebody attacked us, we do not know what to use.
And you can't use stones.
And we can't use stones because we are not used to throwing stones. So Kamuti is going to work perfectly well, and it's working in other regions and it's protected. So the thing is, it is very critical that we begin this, the first day in our KBC, which is a national TV, that we tell the people across the country, when you start electing, you think of a leader, first of all, you need to have a checklist. Why are you electing so-and-so? What has he done in his life? What is his background? What has he done to acquire what he has? I felt, if I have a minute, do you have a minute? I felt so ashamed of that must have been on, I think on Friday, when a relative of mine told me the car I'm driving, as small as it is, a very innocent young man, while I'm driving him around, he told me, and I hear where you work, they loot a lot. Are you one of the people who benefit out of the loot? I want to say here and now, I am not part of that, and it's very shameful that you are. And you see, this is my own nephew telling me, because he thinks that where I work, people loot, so I am one of them because I'm one of the senior employees there. But I want to tell them categorically, I know the Bible, and Deuteronomy 8:18 says, He is the one who gives me the power to make wealth. So these are the things of, it's good now, when he told me like that, I didn't get annoyed with him. I took him journey one step to the other and explained to him why I am not in that group. I did not get annoyed with him. That told me, if my own nephew has the courage to tell me, then how many other young men think like that? So it is our business to come out and help them and tell them I'm not one of them, and I would not wish that we elect such.
Indeed. You know, Ken, I want to throw this to you briefly. Citizen vetting initiatives, would they work?
Yes, they would work, but most importantly, goodwill. As citizens, do we have the goodwill of the state? Individually and collectively as citizens, how passionate are we to have the power to oversight people who have responsibilities on various deliverables? Now, just to pick on the minds of my fellow panelists, I want to pick specifically on all the commissions, NCIC. I have a feeling, because this is the only checkmate for politicians and other leaders who have socially unbecoming behaviors. I think the enforcement part of NCIC is lacking strength. And I am making a prayer to the members of the legislature to make amendments that can empower NCIC to have a secondment of enforcement officers that takes direct orders from the commission. If they would still be dependent to sister enforcement agencies, that Honorable Buya had made a statement that violates the law. We want him to make an appearance. Then I will still depend on from the OCPD of Langata or Embakasi to go for Honorable Buya. If they could be empowered to have enforcement officers that are permanently seconded to the commission and are taking direct orders from the commission, I think that in itself is going to be a measure that is going to be empower the commission to deter politicians from dividing Kenyans. And what you said is that do we have the capacity to move the initiatives? I am saying, as a citizen, personally, I have the capacity. The most important thing, collectively and individually as citizens, do we have the willpower?
The willpower. In the interest of time, I want to ask all of you this question, and I'll take this as your closing remarks. Now that we are in 2026, heading to 2027, and well, the campaign mood is going to get to the fever pitch gradually, what should be Kenyans now, what should they be demanding before the campaign noise takes over? Let me start with you, Akili, briefly.
I think Kenyans only need to check on the track record of a leader, the character of this said leader, and I think they need to make decisions that are informed of the track record and the character of the personality of that person. We don't need to go into 2027 with the same traditional trend of ethnic mobilization, political parties, that basically have always operated in zoning system. That will really not help us get the right leadership going forward. So I strongly believe that we need to do politics of issue-based politics. We need to move from, traditional way of, tribal line politics and move to issue-based. What are the issues on the table, and whose policies are appearing to be addressing the issues on the table? I think that will help us to get right leadership.
Okay, briefly.
Number one, there are statements that I have heard over the weekend and better part of the last week. A politician, a serious politician in the stature of a Secretary General of a strong political party like ODM, mentioning and calling a section of his leadership washenzi. These are acts that we must call out and shame and name these people. That these are things that violates the own principle of unity as a community. So and so many other politicians. I also want my brother. I saw on one of the burials in Central over this weekend. The fact that somebody says one term and somebody says me, I believe in 2 term. I saw a member of parliament, I think for Lamu County, I believe so, who had to be whipped away and under protection of the police. Politicians incited citizens, and such kind of such moments really misleads what we stand for as a nation.
Yes.
So I want to make a prayer that citizens, number one, let us pull back and vet our politicians. What does every leader stands for.
Indeed.
What do they stand for?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Zido, briefly.
Mike, it's a God-given opportunity for Kenyans to even have an election. And we thank God for the constitution that we have that now determines the date and including the time of an election. So as we head towards that election when it will happen, it is important that we do two things. One, the political leadership should realize that no leader is indispensable. This constitution has only given you one term. And if you are lucky, it is a 2 term. And that's it, particularly for presidency and the governors in our counties. So it is important, therefore, that we ask ourselves, what are we giving back to the people who queue for long hours to go out there and vote for us? There has to be something that we are giving back to them. And that thing really has to be the pact that we sign with them, the pact that should make us realize that as we wake up every day as leaders, the desire is to do things better, because there is going to be a day when that title is not going to be there. You are going to be a former. Yes. And if you don't realize it, the sooner the better, sadly for you. Number 2 is that calling upon citizens to exercise citizen journalism. Let's aim towards making this country a better place. If there are tractors that were sent to go and repair roads and post the launch of that particular road 2 days after the tractors are gone, post it somewhere, write a letter. The Constitution has given you the power to ask those critical questions. If health systems are not working where you are in your ward, in your sub-county, in your constituency, in counties where, for example, my good friend Peter comes from, as an example, Nairobi, post it out there, write those letters, ask questions, and if you cannot, we as County Governance Watch will continue to be the citizen voices. You can reach out to us on info@cgwkenya.org, and 2026 we promise to work with the citizens in the counties to make our counties and the country a better place.
Peter. Just 2 things.
Yes.
And number 1, that all of us as leaders, wherever we are and whichever institution we are working for, we need to know that we are all of us dispensable. And this one is going to happen soon. There is a looming, loud, stronger purge in the national government together with the Nairobi County for people who are decided to think they are on the top and they cannot be touched. All of us are dispensable. Finally, the tendency of leaders saying what they want to say and then they start saying that they were quoted out of context. We don't expect that one in 2026, because if all of us in this country, every time we say things carelessly, anyhowly, then we start mobilizing tribal support and then start saying that we are quoted out of context, it dilutes our credibility as a nation.
Indeed. Gentlemen, your time is very much appreciated. That is Peter Mutuku Mutua. I've gotten it right.
Right. Peter Mutuku Mutua.
Peter Mutuku Mutua is governance and leadership expert. Kevin Osido, thank you so much, who is an executive director, County Governance Watch.
You know, Mike, you need to get used to the title, the presidential conferment.
My apologies.
OGW.
My apologies.
And before you say Kevin Osido, you say Shuja. Kevin Osido,
OGW.
Yeah, you should
start getting right now.
Shuja Kevin Osido, OGW, Executive Director, County Governance Watch.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
Kennedy Obuya, who is the UDA Chairman, Homa Bay County, and Jacob Omondi, who is Wakili, lawyer and political strategist. Thank you so much for making time to come on Good Morning Kenya on the first show of the year.
Precisely.
This is where this conversation ends. My name is Mike Bego. Thank you for tuning in. Good Morning Kenya continues shortly. Stay with us.
I've been learning things about you that I wouldn't have imagined. It wouldn't surprise me if I found out something else.
I need to know the truth. Was that the reason? Was it because you found out that there had been something between Marcelo and my mother?
Do you really think your mother would be capable of doing that?
He knows about her. Ricardo Marquez already knows that Letty is his daughter.
Unajua the first rule of hospitality? Wakati mwingine vizuri kuangalia. Wacha kuita mimi kama toka. Wacha kunigonga kala nguvu bwana, unaniumiza. Kemba unanifurutia nini?
Peleka kisirani yako huko. Wewe, ni nani unazugumanija hivyo?
Tuungane na mimi bwana. Ati? Si nilikoteza hii michezo ya watoto waacha bwana.
Tusikosane na vitu ndogo ndogo tafadhali.
Wahenga wanasema.
Wahenga walituachia namba ya simu. Tafadhali yake kwa nini umenivuta kazi?
Jamani.
It's a secret.
Secret? Come on, tell me.
What exactly are you doing? Just go, okay? It's an important thing. Go on, go on.
I tell you, you gotta cut it out with all the secrets you have.
Yo, hata kama ningekumbuka, wengine hawatakumbuka.
Hicho si kisingizio.
Hey, we'll get there. The whole team is behind you. Relax, honey.
I'll tell him when the time is right.
Well, a very good morning to you, and welcome back to Channel 1. And now the Good Morning Kenya show continues, and the segment on air right now is the Western Spectrum with me, Wycliffe Okech, straight from the lakeside city of Kisumu. And this morning we are going to talk about the back to school. We now we know that the festivities are over, and the new year is here with us. And now it is time back to get down to business. And parents are hustling here and there to take their children to school. And of course, this morning we are going to talk about specifically the senior school placement headache. We know that those learners who sat for the KJSA assessment last year are scheduled to report to school, to the senior schools, starting date 12 of this January 2025. But then we know that there is some sort of confusion, the headache that is surrounding the placement of the KJSA exam learners. This morning I am joined by a gentleman here and a lady, that is Mr. Zablo Nawange, who is the KUPPET Executive Secretary for the Kisumu chapter, and also an educationist, Madam or Mrs. Beatrice Omolo. Good morning, Beatrice.
Good morning.
Good morning, Awange.
Good morning.
We were afraid probably you could run late. You've managed.
This is.
Oh yes. It's not like Nairobi.
Yeah, there might be jams.
So jammed like Nairobi.
Yeah.
Straight on. We want to talk about the senior school student or learners placement, and there seems to be a sort of some confusion. We know that there's also a review, or after the initial placement there was a review window which already closed, and also there is another review window starting tomorrow all the way to Friday. But then starting us off, Beatrice, you are the parents, you are an educationist. Where do you think this sort of confusion is coming from? Where is it stemming from?
One, I would say this is a new system, and most parents went through 844. So the new system is giving them a lot of tasks, because the sensitization, I know information is there and all that, but you find that parents are not still quite informed. And the experience and the exposure, because this is the first cohort for the senior school, so it's like they literally don't know. And then there's a lot of not quite correct information from social media, so they find themselves like getting confused. here and there. As much as they were told in schools, for those who attended parents' meetings and all that, it's still like there's confusion on the social media. So they are finding themselves quite unaware. And also the pathways, the pathways are also confusing because for the C1s, you find like your child has really performed well, you expect them to go to C1, and naturally they are placed on the STEM. But not all kids would want to just go for the STEM. Some people could be very brilliant, brainy, but then they may want to go for social sciences or something like that. So those are some of the confusion that are coming. And also like the downloading of the letter. Some people, they found themselves placed somewhere else, C4, when they were supposed to be in C1, C2. So all those are different issues. And also before, it was like you go pick the letter from head of institution or something like that, but now it's the system. So some parents still don't buy that idea. They really want to go pick their letter and they're sure that this is the school they're going to. So,
yes. Yeah. Brought up, you mentioned a very critical factor there, aspect of information. Should they get the information? Should they rely on social media or the information given to them by the Ministry of Education or by the schools where their learners are?
Of course, MOE, their page is quite informed and all that, but also the school where their learners they were informed very well. But if they feel like that information is still scanty, they even can call the senior school they're going to for some more information. And their education is everywhere. You can even get hold of your head, the HOE or any other teacher, at least more informed. But also as a parent, I know some of them are not quite like social media text or something like that, but then they can just Google. This is something that you can just get yourself, Google it and verify it from the MOE side.
Beatrice is mentioning that this is a new system and it is bound to, these challenges that are being experienced are bound. And again, she's mentioning the aspect of the information on the social media versus the information given by the Ministry of Education. What is your take on this?
Thank you, Wycliffe. The system might be new, but it has been with us. It is only that it's not transiting to the senior secondary. That is almost like the second or third stage, because it started at the ECD level. It reached grade 8, grade 3, where there were some exams, which were then later grade 6, where there was CAPSEA. Then now it is KJSEA. And we, as a union, we had warned the government that planning to fail is failing to plan. We had told them time and again. Okay, they have tried to patch it several times. They have brought some changes. This is a cohort that has been characterized with a lot of experimentations. They are the guinea pigs of the education system in Kenya. They started with several subjects until the unions made noise. Then the subjects were trimmed. Later, there was this and that, the umility. These are students who at grade 6 had selected very big schools. Later, the government came and said, because of the cost, particularly the financial situation, because capitation in secondary school was a bit higher than capitation in primary. So the domicility was left in primary. Then we had a situation whereby the government most concentrated on the names. The names has changed. You find a primary school changing its name to JSS, later to comprehensive, now it's due to what? And CBE itself has changed to CBE, CBC. It is a den of confusion. And even when they were doing KJSEA, we as a union, we had warned that this new system requires all the stakeholders to be in place. But what we saw that there is change. The change was, the motive was good. There was change in the type, in the manner in which the students were going to be admitted. They removed it from the principles of high schools because there was association with the bribery. Those big schools, the C1, formerly called the national schools, you find the principals were collecting money and actually doing what? Giving chances to unfairly to students. Now the MOE took over. And through the HOIs. And then there is the parents also who are supposed to play their part. Are we sure that all the parents play their part? Because 3/4 of parents in this nation are concerned with the bread and butter. Most of them are not in the social media. Most of them barely survive with phones like Abambe. So there is total confusion as we are opening schools today. Students of poor families do not know where they are going. And there was the window you have called for review. The review was opened. And even when the review was opened, it was characterized by jam. The portal was not being accessible. There is nowhere these parents could go to. There is nowhere they could cry to. But they give credit where it's due. You, the media, you highlighted such problems. That is why the ministry has now said that they're reopening it. But reopening the portal and the review again is not sufficient. We need now to push forward the process of the students joining, the date for the grade 10 joining the senior secondary school. And as they are reopening, we are having chaos within the students themselves, because you find that a student was admitted, they say, to C1 Alliance High School in the portal. But now the results has come, the student has been readmitted to Nyamasaria Secondary. A student with 70 marks with 72. Where are these students complaining to? Who will they complain to? Yes. Those are the realities on the ground. On the ground, things are different. You find others have been reviewed without them applying. You did not apply to go to Stare, but all of a sudden you found yourself in Stare. Yes. The one who was called to Alliance has been rerouted to Nyamasaria. We have been told that we are not concentrating on exams. NEC, after the marking, gave us results. There were expectations. These expectations, our parents in the villages, in the slums, still don't understand it. Where is these expectations? How is it being met? How is it being approached? And how is it being exceeded? Yes. After exceeding it, why is it that after exceeding it, you are still being placed in another different school? Right. Those are the things that are characterizing the chaos, anarchy, and confusion that is part of the Ministry of Education in relation to the JSS students who are supposed to transition to senior secondary school.
And just on that point, it's chaotic, like you mentioned. I don't think it's very, but then there is some sort of chaos in that transition. But then you've said that this system has been with us here for quite some time, in as much as it's a new one, but then it has been with us here for some time. But still, there is chaos. There is still some sort of confusion. What is lacking, Awage?
What is lacking is government total support for it. The government is speaking in one arm and doing other things in the other arm. Everybody is not happy. Okay, I might talk from the point of the union. Sure. We said last year and made noise concerning the science teachers. They were employed as interns. But even up to today, they are yet to be put as PNP. In senior secondary, the issue is still the teaching. The teachers there are not sufficient, particularly for the STEM, particularly for these applied and technical subjects. What is the government doing about the teachers in senior secondary and in junior secondary? We are still making noise that they should be put to PNP. In terms of the resources, there is a way in which capitation is being changed. You see, the government is saying they have sent 44 billion to secondary schools. But there is the issue of those arrears which has not been paid in last year. There is also the issues of resources. This money is not sufficient to run these schools. Right. Then you are putting more money in the so-called former national schools. We need, yes, there is these small schools, the sub-county schools and the county schools. Most of them do not have enough resources. The end result is that most students avoided them when they were selected. As we are talking, so many schools, almost half, were not selected. Miraculously, they have gotten students. Where have they gotten students from? Those are the questions that we must ask ourselves. Then you are talking about the review. 10,000 students applied for review. That is the hugest number of students asking for a review in the history of education in senior secondary and from transition from primary to secondary. And actually, it's beating the whole essence of access to education and transition policy, 100% transition policy. Out of those 10,000, only half, less than half had their prayers answered. Over 5,000, their prayers were declined, citing numerous reasons. For instance, that the pathway you have selected is not in that school.
And now they have a chance tomorrow, starting to Friday, to also try again to see if their prayers will be answered. But again, Beatrice, some of the factors that were considered by the Ministry of Education in the placement is the outcome of the KJ's assessment. Do you think the outcome really, it mirrors or reflects the ability of the student to be placed either on STEM pathway or the social sciences pathway or the arts and sports pathway? The outcome, is it really determining or reflecting the ability of the learner?
Well, it's a yes and a no. Yes, in the sense that STEM was, those who are being selected for STEM there are people who have managed the higher points, right? But you find, like, no, in the sense that some learners manage to achieve high points, but they don't want STEM. You understand? They may want to do arts and sports. They may want to do social sciences, but then they're placed in STEM. So, you know, already you're being told where to go. You're going to do something you didn't like, you know. So, but we hope well, I know Mr. Wange says it's not a new system, but maybe some of the things that are like the pathways and all that, those are new things that are coming up in the new system. So maybe something has to be done, that a little bit of flexibilities has to be introduced here, because learners are going to go to school, they find themselves in STEM, but this is not their direction, the direction they really wanted. So I hope the ministry is going to be flexible so that these learners can navigate through what they wanted to do. And also maybe I hope moving forward, we have seen what has happened, that sensitization is going to be done quite well. You know, in our culture or tradition, we feel like a child has to be an engineer, they have to be a pilot. That is when they're making it. Nowadays we see even musicians are really making it, actors, comedians, you know, and these learners could have been very brilliant, but you know, because our tradition just forged towards STEM, social sciences, some natural talents and skills are being neglected. So I hope moving forward, we will also have the chance to talk to these learners and tell them, like, this, whichever direction you are making, you understand, there's still life after that. For that one, I really support the CBC, because it makes children learn that it's not only your brain that is going to make you pass, there's also some skills that can make you make it in life and also survive with that, yeah.
Right. But on that point, do you think the outcome really determines where the learner should be placed? Because we know the outcome of that particular assessment was quite considerable in placing these learners in either C1 all the way to C4.
Let's go back to thank you, Wycliffe. Let's go back to what National Examination did. When some schools started celebrating and doing some personal ranking, NEC was first to say that those ones is just a guideline. They are not the actual points. They told us that 65 does not mean that you got 65. So there was confusion right from those results in the first place. Then we have been told that those are accumulated results from CAPSEA, from grade 3, from whatever. Then you are saying that they are not actually the genuine, the actual amount. So schools should not rank, they should not celebrate. But to deny a student who has gotten 72 marks from celebrating is taking the joke too far. Secondly, we are saying and we are repeating that issues of career is very paramount. And the TSC and the ministry should have long time ago put career masters or posted career masters. That's not what we are currently having in schools. We are currently having problems in terms of careers, not even at KJSA level, I mean the JSS level, but even at secondary. In your own profession of the media, if you have people who are not meant to be in the media, we have lawyers, doctors, who eventually got love having gone to the university. Some people go to the university to do law, then send the certificates to their parents, and then go to pursue music. You can be nameless. You are a good architect, but you are not pursuing architecture, or who a good mathematician. So what hope do we have that this KJSA, a 14-year-old, you have chosen for him STEM? The very fact that he has passed mathematics does not mean that this student is destined to be a doctor. This good student could be going to be a good comedian. Yeah, the same way you have people who have ambushed your profession. You have comedians who are denying people other really journalist jobs in the media, even us in the teaching profession. That is what is causing. So we need people who can identify these talents. It has been left for the teachers. Retooling has been done. Capacity building has been done. But it has been done in a haphazard manner. It has been done in a chaotic manner. What was done is a joke. We retooled the JSS. Later we retooled the senior secondary in December, holidays. It was a joke. It was just a matter of satisfying what we are saying that, okay, we need to retool these teachers so that by the time. What I'm saying, and I am repeating, let us have a career department right from primary where we can sensitize these people and sensitize the parents. You need the parents. Currently, the parents were not involved even in the selection of schools. And these are pathway. You are saying that this kid is going to select this pathway. A pathway that you have decided as a ministry and the government that this student is going to follow this pathway. And you are already frustrating this kid by placing him in a different school. You are affecting the mentality and the psychology of this student. If this student was meant to go to Alliance because he has selected it, he wants to unearth his career, let him go there. If this student had selected Kakamega High School because he wants to go and play football, let this student go to Kakamega High School and not to take him to Orachuodo. That is what we are saying as a union.
I really want to know where that school is located. And it's a funny name anyway, but it's still a school. Example. Exactly. Yes. And Beatrice, from this perspective of a parent, Mr. Wanga has brought this point, and that was my next question actually. Averagely, the senior school learners are averagely 15, between 14 and 16 years old away. And we have 3 pathways. Do you think at that age, the learner is able to determine their interested pathways in terms of career choices later on?
No. 14, this age, they are very young. You know, take for example, how many university students do or choose whatever they want to do, and along the way they just feel like, no, this is not my dream direction. Or maybe you even finish your undergrad, and then you go outside there, you get the shock of your life, you know. So remember, now we are giving these children this opportunity to choose a pathway at this tender age. And maybe we also depend on their parents to also give them direction. Some parents are not informed. Some of them are too busy to follow even this new system. You know, so these learners are left in the hands of either the teacher or any well-wisher, or even themselves, you know. So it's like, if I'm brilliant enough, and you know, this, as I said, the tradition, we know only lawyers, pilots, those are the people who are highly ranked, you know. For a child that didn't have that exposure, we know only teachers, nurses around us, you know, this low-income area. Those are the people, you know, policemen. I'm not saying like they're bad, but that is the level they are, you know. So even someone to give them this counseling, like, you know, this is your direction, you can go the comedy direction. You know, whatever you're doing right now, you can go the pilot direction. Whatever you're doing, you can even be a great entrepreneur, you know, with just the little things, the business you're doing by the side, you know, someone to direct them, you know. So that is quite likely. And their age, they cannot make that primary decision on their own. So I hope, like, as much as it's being done at this tender age, as I said also, I hope there's going to be flexibility ahead here, because kids are going to be confused. When you've already chosen your path, you know, I'm just saying this, and I will be a little bit, I will give this example because this is something I've experienced. And I've also interacted with people who had the chance to do pathways earlier. In developing countries, some of them, maths was something that was not being taken up to higher levels. I've interacted with someone who is, they have taken already their path, they are in their profession and all that, but because they dropped maths at a very tender age, they are finding that gap very big. You know, and they're like, they're working, they're doing everything, but it's like, I really need some training to know how to handle the basics of mathematics. That is the gap that some of these things can create. So a learner at that tender age, they will maybe go with peer pressure if they don't get enough counseling or something like that, but later on they may regret it. So I hope that the counselors, maybe after, they're going to do something, and also that flexibility that they can navigate through the pathways they may want to do. Or even later when they're joining university, I don't know how they will be able to navigate if they find a way that, if they find out that at this early age we made a wrong decision, so maybe when we are going ahead, we can jump to what we want to do. Yeah, maybe something like that.
Basically, you're in agreement, Wange, here that there needs to be the career department in these institutions. Mr. Wange, what is the role of the parent in all this?
The role of the parent, as per the CBC, was to guide. In fact, it was part of the campaign when Raila Amolo Odinga, the late former Prime Minister, was contesting against William Samoei Arap Ruto. It was the issue of CBC was discussed at great length, that the parents have taken over, but most of our parents are busy. You are a mother who is a vegetable seller, and your father is a carpenter. At what time will they have time with you, with your homeworks? Secondly, even as the professionals, we are so busy. You are busy. If I'm a teacher, I'm a unionist, I'm busy walking up and down, coming home late. You are also busy looking for news. The child is remaining with the house help. Who is the one to tell you, will this person be able to help with the CBC. That is what helped made the decision to remove those 14 subjects to be reduced to current 9. We said that there must be, as per the Presidential Working Committee on Education, there was supposed to be a review of the education system beginning with the CBC. And after we have reviewed it, we got some things wrong and we've got some things right. But we have not yet reached, because kosa si kosa, kosa ni kurudia kosa. We must stop living the lie. The lie here is that the children are going to follow this pathway. We have changed names, but a rose by any other name will still remain or smell good. When you change the name of national school from national school to C1, does Alliance stop being Alliance? Alliance still remain Alliance. And does a sub-county school stop being a sub-county because you have called it C10 or C6? It still remains C6. Then that is why there is change. These students are demanding to change, to go to their dream schools. Yes, they want to go to Kenya High, and that's why they struggle very hard to pass exams. Others are regretting, because when we started this CBC, you told them you don't need to worry in K6. They were not struggling much. They were doing exams while going to play. They were not revising, only to find that in KJSEA, the results have creep up on them. Had they worked hard, they would have gotten 65. But now they have got 55 because they were told that you can do play, there's no stress. Now they are regretting. The same with professionals. The truth is, at the professional level, our Form 4s, when they are looking for careers, they are looking for careers that is going to put food on the table. There are some careers where even if you have done it, you are going to tarmac. So it is not about the issue of that children want to do this. You could be possible you want to do that course, but the course is flooded, or there is no career opportunity there. You want something where you can get employment immediately. If you look at us as teachers, there are some subjects which were flooded. So you find that somebody who is good in English is going to university to do B.Ed Science. You know, because you have passed B.Ed Science, Maths, Physics, or Physics, Chemistry. But you come back to secondary school, you realize that this man still has passion for English. Some of them ended up being good drama teachers. People like Oliver Mnishi. He was a physics teacher, but he was very good in drama. So sometimes you choose a subject because you are told that that is where there is money. And in a developing country like Kenya, we still have small chances of money. Like now, software, IT, that is where now there is money. So let us allow these students to pursue their passions. They can change later. Let them make mistakes, not that the government is making a mistake for them. We know that the parents needs to be included. But have we included the parent in the selection? Like you have said, the parent wanted to go to school to collect the letter. We are assuming that all parents are digital, which is not the case. We should not have just changed abruptly to digital and leaving. We want the kind kid to go to school and collect that envelope, calling letter from a school, not that you must go to the cyber to do what? To download. How many parents in the slums or in the villages can do that? Part of the confusion of selection is that the parents abdicated their responsibilities. They abdicated it to the principals. I mean, the HOIs. The HOIs are the ones who are selecting, because you can't blame the parent. The life is very hard. They're struggling to put food on the table. Yes, and they have not been socialized enough about the changes in the CBE. It is causing them confusion. Like I talked about that expectations. They have always been asking, which is this expectations? What is this expectations? And how do we meet it? Only to realize that you are still approaching it. Others have just exceeded it. And after exceeding it, the results, you realize that the results is also causing confusion, because the private schools which had facilities have overturned the tables. Now they have performed much better than the public schools. And even after the private schools have performed better, you now tell them that you give them a quota, that you have performed, but because you are from this school, now you cannot go to that national school, go to this other school. Why should you punish a student who had all the facilities in a private school, and you are punishing the parent who was able to purchase that facility?
I know a case of a parent whose child scored, 64 out of 72, and in all the selections they had, they selected national schools, but then she's been taken to an extra count, C2,
yes.
And the parent is very much annoyed with that and very, very angry, but then there is a window to revise all that, and we...
I not finished. So the reason why the parents are annoyed the way you have said, that you have gotten the marks, you are teaching your children to work hard to achieve the dream, that get 62 or 65, you go to Kenya High, then it's being denied. Just like we tell them later in Form 4, get A to go do medicine, then you want to deny. There is confusion on that. And the other confusion that had not finished was on the basis in which they have used to allocate it. The Ministry of Education is using CRA. CRA was developed by KRA. Yes, County Revenue Allocation. And KRA developed it using what? Population census. In the last population census, how many people were counted? It was faulty. We are yet to do a proper census. So we are saying that the use of CRA is a wrong parameter to select our students and should not have been borrowed in the first place. We should have developed our own parameter. Because CRA uses poverty level, uses population, how do you count the number of people in northeastern where it's pastoralism? So we are saying the last census did not accurately give the number of people in Kenya and in counties because it was very faulty. Right. The best census were done early independence, 1963, 79, 89. After that, it has been chaotic and politically motivated to show the tyranny of numbers for political purposes.
Away from political. Just a bit. Beatrice, have you come across a situation probably where the Minister of Education is telling us that the learners must generate, the calling letters should be generated strictly from the system. But there is a situation we have seen on the social media, especially some guardians and parents claiming to have collected physically these calling letters from the institutions. Have you come across such a situation?
Yeah, there are a lot actually, and I like the way some teachers have come now on social media to actually now take care of the confusion. Of course, you have to check and verify the information, but at least the teachers, the technocrats are there. I remember there were a team that, okay, this teacher posted all those, and he was like, my goodness, you are still going to school to pick a letter. Do you know there's a special code, but then they're like, no, me, I even have my letter, I've already been given, and then you are like, what is it, what is going on? This goes back to the information that was rolled out. And as we are saying, not all parents were in a position maybe to follow this to the latter. This is a first cohort. Everyone is just like, my first child, I went picked, and I think they can still do that here. And, and they're settled. They're like, me, my child was called on a C4, and they have performed very well. I've gone to a C1, I've given something small, I have my, and they're comfortable with it. So, and it's good we have Mr. Awange here. Please, maybe you guys may come up with a system that is working for the parents that are from the slums. They be informed, because now next week we are going to see wonders. A parent is carrying everything, they bought uniform, they bought everything, they're carrying their letter evidence, they've already paid the bribe, probably, and who is going to help these people? Because they are also probably not actively following media. They are not actively asking the school. Then they know they have a letter. A letter is written the name of the school, everything. But of course, there are those that are really still fighting to get, because also that discussion brought in this issue of, now what do we do? I've been trying to log into this school to try and get a chance, and now there's no one who is answering. And also, I don't know whether this is true, that is the power of social media as well, that is saying like C1, C2, C3 is no longer in the system, and it's only C4 that is available there. I still don't know whether it's true or not. So if your child was not allocated C1 or C2, meaning you only have C4, to take care of the situation. So a parent is like, am I going to go to C4 and my child is a C1? No, I'll carry my letter, go to that school. So that will balloon in the social media. It is there. I've met it. I've seen parents, and I think it's a lot of tension.
From the perspective of parents, you may want to talk to to other parents watching us right now and tell them, as a parent, tell them that these calling letters are generated strictly from the system, because with that it helps the Ministry of Education to plan for the capitation. Yes, you may want to talk to space.
Yeah, it's personally, as you call it, a new system, as much as it's been there for a while, and parents have to just go by what is happening right now. There's a new window that is opening tomorrow up to Friday. Go to the JS where the child took their exams, talk to the HOE to help you initiate it from the system, or go to the senior school you want to go and they help you, but it has to be generated. Don't sit back there and wait, do something about them. But I know most parents are now fed up. They are tired. because there's no one who is helping them. There's no one now. It's like they're left, and everything looks very confusing. So, but I would still advise, go to the school, get help from the school if you can't get it directly from the system. That is the advice.
And this is about, that is the placement system. The system is the www.placement.education.go.ke. That is where all the calling letters are being generated, because they have special features. They have the watermark. That's the special features that authenticate and legitimize these calling letters to help the Ministry of Education actually to plan for the capitation. And it also helps the Ministry of Education to know this learner is in this particular school, and that all goes a long way in helping to plan the capitation aspect. Rolling on, let us talk about logistics, the placement versus logistics, because we've had cases where learners are placed in C4 very far from where because C4 are basically day schools and the county schools. And you find a situation where a learner has been placed kilometers away from their counties of residence or even their homes. How is that supposed to be addressed, Beatrice?
I would say maybe our technocrat would advise us much better. But I've seen a parent saying, like, I stay in Mombasa. My child is called in Kisii. Someone, I think they were in Embu, and the child is called in to go to a school in Western. They can't even know. They were asking, please, could you let me know where is this school? And at that moment is like, you know, my child. And then this is a child who has performed very well, being placed to a day school, which is far, 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 you know, from where they are. So it's basically not going to work. You know, for a day school, how can you come from Mombasa to Kisii? How many hours? You know, so it's not going to work. So I hope like that is also going to be rectified, and rectified in good time. Remember, we have only up to next week. Today is Monday, right? 1 week from now, if you still don't know where your child is going, money, maybe the little you had already collected, it's going to now, where do I take my child? You have to travel here and there. You know, it's already getting finished. You know, before you even start purchasing the uniform, purchasing the basic needs, you know. So we are just, as parents, we're just crying that the ministry should come and help us to fight this thing early enough, or even give a different direction how it should be done so that parents can be favored. And also, as we say, parents that are not literate enough. So maybe some of them are just like, me, I'm tired. Actually, there are those that are saying like, me, I'm tired. I've really tried. I'll just go with what I have. So imagine, what do you have? You have C4 in Kisii, and you're living in Mombasa. So what do you literally have? How are you going to even appear on Monday? How can you even explain this to your child? Like, I tried and I failed. You know, I can't even get help. Yeah, so there's that gap that needs to be filled.
Mr. Wadi, to address this logistics thing?
It's not all gloom, Cliff. At least the ministry also is responding. One of it was the denial of the principals the opportunity to be involved in the selection. Yes. And I know the reasons, like I had said earlier, was because most principals of C1, C2 were you doing business. You are given an account number, you take, it's called what fee. You go put the money, they were trying to avoid that because parents were corrupt and some big principals were corrupt. That is the time then you'll be told that put money for building the gate, put money for buying a bus, those illegal fees. Form 1 admission used to be that. So they were trying to avoid it with grade 10 admissions. They have involved now the Kesha. We are just warning them that after having been involved, we don't want to hear about those bribery. Already we have heard of parents with letters. You have already heard of parents with letters, but they have not applied in big schools, not of small schools. So then the second one, we have seen that they have extended the review. It's starting tomorrow up to that Friday. Extension is not the problem. The problem is portal being accessed. You can extend it even for 1 month, but parents or HOIs cannot access it. We say, and we are repeating, let it not be jammed. Open that portal and let the teachers and the parents be able to access it so that it should not even reach Friday. By Wednesday, these kids should be having letters and that has been reviewed, taking them to where they want. The very fact that students of C4 were being admitted to schools far away from their home is enough evidence that the selection process was faulty. We have cases of a student from Korea being admitted to Kisumu Day. You know, how is this student going to survive the way Madam has said here. You have a student from, let's say, Bungoma being admitted to Nyamasaria, or a student from here being admitted to Kakamega in a day school. There must be something wrong somewhere. That is why we want them to use their IT experts and solve that issue of placement once and for all. These students have been used as a guinea pig for long, but it's wrong to make them feel hopeless. Let them feel that they have a future in the education, because we don't want them to start their journey in senior secondary. It is in senior secondary that lives are made and lives are destroyed, because this is their teenage area. This is their adolescent age. We must get it right so that the student get it right. Remember that we are dealing with students from myriad backgrounds. Most of these students have challenges. They have not even started on how they are going to get bursaries. They have not even started on how they are going to get help. In fact, even those parameters that we are denouncing, those ones of KJSEA, the results, are the ones which will be used. We have not even seen Equity, KCB Foundation, coming to fit those students who have exceeded expectations. Because now almost everybody has exceeded expectations. We want to identify those students from needy, from poor background, needy but brilliant, so that they can access help. But when we want to get them help, they will need calling letters. How do you get help if you don't have a proper calling letter? How do you tell your KCB Foundation or the MP that I got 67 or 70, I was meant to go for Alliance, but now I've been taken to a C4 school? You know, it will reduce even the type of bursary you'll be given. Yeah. Because in some situations you are given the bursary as per the school. You bring a calling letter, and if it is a foundation, they give the bursary. But if you have been called to a day school, naturally, if the fee was supposed to be 100,000 of Alliance, they will scale it down to the fee of the day school. For the sake of logistics, let us now move with haste and ensure that these students get their letters so that they can move to the next step. The next step is sourcing for funds. 3/4, I'm saying, of students will require help financially in order to access those schools where the pathways they were called to are supposed to be done.
Mr. Wycliffe, maybe just to also maybe ask, you said about the corruption that has been happening from before, where head of institutions, they were asking for money for them to admit these kids. I've seen such cases. I don't know how it's being handled currently, but this one was like a head of HOE has requested that just give in a commitment fee, and then some parents were, commitment fee is going to go to your fee. How true is this? Because a parent is now desperate to get the school, and then the head of institution is like, bring a commitment fee. So can you maybe explain this? Because even me, I'm confused about
Thank you. That is what the MOE was trying to solve. So we cannot just condemn the MOE. They were trying to solve that part. The commitment fee, I have just forgotten the name. The commitment fee was a different account. You have just been given, if you're serious, chukua hii, nenda ka deposit, then bring the deposit slip. After the deposit slip, you are given the letter. That letter now, the fees will be different. That one you have committed, that account is not even known. It is probably the principal's account. Unaona. So the problem comes when it is you who was disparate. You remember, it is you who was disparate, and you are ready to pay. Yeah. You have been told that you want Alliance, or you want Kisumu Boys, or you want what? Just pay this. Yes. And it is the parent who is. So it is the highest bidder. It is not about that student who cannot access it. It is that the highest bidder. And that is how the highest bidders go to some of these schools that we initially used to imagine were meant for poor. That's where Stare comes in. And Kenas girls. Even today, there are still complaints about that Stare, because do they really help our needy children? And which parameters are they using? Because even in the system, they are not there. Even in the system for selection, they are not there. They're just doing their own things. But the problem is not even the Stare. The problem is these extra county schools and national schools, which were performing better. Some of them were related to exam malpractices. So teachers, parents will look and say, oh, this school is doing better. They have gotten so many A's. So everybody wants to go to that school.
And that is why the nation bit of it and replaced it with assessment. Yes. And just moving, but then that system, the system that we continue talking about, it is that is the system where the calling letters are being generated from, because we know the MOE is being very strict on this calling letters thing. a parent may be tempted to go to the school, the senior school of interest to to be issued with that calling letter. But then it will not count at the end of the day, because actually on 12th, when the learners will be reporting, will be so much in those schools to see how this situation pans out. But as a parent, you may want to do what is the MOE requires you to do: go to the system, generate the calling letters based on where the learner was placed. Mr. Wange, you mentioned as we began this conversation that this is a new system, though it has been with us here for a while. It's replacing the 844. But then to eliminate all these challenges and some of the headache that is surrounding this new curriculum, who should do what?
Thank you, Wycliffe. The people who came with the promulgators of this 633 system had a good motive. The problem is us who have customized it to our needs. For instance, I talked about domicility. It was supposed to be domiciled in secondary. It could have solved those problems. But we brought it politically. We knew the government was fearing paying 22,000. It is easier, cheaper to pay capitation in primary than to pay it in secondary. Parents were also fearing that this kid is too young. How can a kid born who is 10 years go to Mangu High School? So they were vested. And then the parents were also fearing that the fees in high school at grade 7. So they would rather have. So secondly was the patching of the subjects. The subjects were 14. But because we didn't have enough teachers, these students, they got raw deals. Let us call a spade and not a big spoon. This cohort of the Pioneer 844, Pioneers CBE students, these people were taught physics by CRE teachers. These people were taught English by agriculture teachers. There was problems and we made noise as a union. And that is why the government employed those 20,000 interns. But we are hoping that the foundation they got will now be improved in secondary, because the secondary schools had those facilities they were not having. In primary, there was no laboratories. It was meant that they were going to go to the nearby sub-county schools for practicals. They never went. There were not enough teachers, but the government employed 20,000 interns who are yet to be put to PNP. Now we are in senior secondary. We thought it will not reach. It has reached. What we are having is a transition. We must now do something in this senior secondary, ensure that there is infrastructure. Why those schools in sub-county are being eschewed, why they are being avoided, is because of lack of facility. You are being taken to a sub-county school to go and play sports, and you know they don't have a playground. You are being taken to a sub-county school to go and do, let's say, STEM, and you know they have only one lab. That is the reason. That's why the national schools have almost everything. They have almost 3 to 4 pathways. Let us ensure that every school that has been given a pathway has facilities for the same, so that a student need not to go because to national schools. We have had situations whereby small schools were performing well in drama. We had small schools where small schools were performing well in sports, volleyball, football, and such like things. Ensure that there is teachers for PE there. You are not going to have somebody doing STEM, and because just that school was just good in football, but not STEM, but sports, because sports is wide. Sports has even hockey, has basketball, even swimming, and such like things. So let's ensure that there are resources. This is a very expensive education. But if you think that education is expensive, we are not going to allow the government to try ignorance. Because the results is going to be pathetic. Remember, the Gen Z are educated. The Gen Z who cause uprising in Kenya are very much educated. The reason why they were dissatisfied is because they are graduates and they don't have jobs. Now we want to produce another generation of people who have dropped out. This will be catastrophic to this nation. Thank you.
Who should be doing what? What role should the parent be playing? And for the success, to ensure that this new education system is successfully rolled out, what is your perspective?
I'll talk about something, but Mr. Wange, maybe I wanted to add something. This social media, I've told you, like, we parents here on the social media, you're getting all the information, but I just want to add something. There was this information that was coming, like, grade 9, there is a thought that it will be domiciled now in senior school. I don't know whether that is true or not, before I answer Mr. Whitfield.
That is our suggestion as a union, that now that JSS is in primary school, you can still leave JSS there, but take part of it like grade 9. Because grade 9 is the former Form 1.
Yes.
This grade 10, they are not Form 1 actually, they are Form 2s.
Yeah.
There is no Form 1 in the whole of our country. So you can still take this grade 9 to secondary and leave this grade 7 to 8, grade 7 and 8 in primary, because of several reasons. One of the reasons that we are talking about is resources. Those students still in those comprehensive schools do not have facilities like laboratories and libraries. That means that there is nothing comprehensive about those schools.
And I get your suggestion. And what's your perspective on the successful rollout of CBE?
Okay, you asked about the roles of everyone.
Who should be doing what?
Who should be doing what? First, the learner's interest should be primary.
Sure.
But of course, for this level, as we are starting, I think we should just let learners know there's need of flexibility. For now, I mean, they are the guinea pigs. Like, we're doing experiment with them, especially the grade 9s. I don't know. I don't even understand how we are going. They have been really tested for a long. They've been tried. This one is working. This is not working. So we have to just train them to be a little bit flexible, and also they do self-discovery. Know what you are strong in, your skills, because now I think that is what is also going to help them so much. As much as their brains is important and all that, let them also now navigate to the natural skills that they are. And also now social media, how can I say, the internet is there. They can even request also to do some research for themselves, just to help. Because if your parent cannot help you, or you have not enough guidance, parents are supposed to do advocacy. One of you guys also talked of one good school that doesn't have infrastructure. What are the parents doing there in this school? It's a very good performing school. It's been there for I don't want to mention the name. It's been there for so many years. My dad went to that school, did very well. The school is still there. But what you say, they were there. There were potholes there. The windows, they don't have even the glasses and all. These are performing. What are the parent representatives doing in such schools? So parents have a role to play. Even for this CBC, parents have a role to play. If something is not going on well, they need to give a voice. There's a continuous learning that should happen for the teachers and the capacity building. Mr. Wange just talked of the team that was taken for training. I don't know whether all teachers are now ready. No, they are not ready. And imagine they're ready to take up this team. So that tells you this grade 9, the first cohort, it's being just they're being just tested, whether it's working or not, and it's a bad sacrifice for them. And now the organizations and community, the community really needs to come out, because it's the community, community-based organization, the CBOs, the NGO organizations like that, they meet a lot of people. These platforms needs to be used, and also the media. You really need to do something about bringing the technocrats and the educationists on the ground, because as I said, social media is good, but even me, I wasn't aware of this grade 9 going back to the senior secondary, because it's confusing. So maybe if I also may just bring my mind, now that I've got it from him, then you can
put the parting shots, because we are running out of time.
Okay, now I can put it the parting shot, because my question now is the schools that already have the infrastructure for the grade 9 in the JS. Now the rumor is going out, or has been also said by him, that is going to now senior. What is the infrastructure? How is it going to be now used? It can be used, of course, but do you know, especially the private schools are very disadvantaged. The ministry is okay, but the private schools are very disadvantaged. We've already put up all these things, and so I hope as we are moving forward, things are going to be, I know a new system is quite technical and all that, but with all this, it brings a lot of confusion and uncertainty. I hope it just cleared, and we move on a clear note. Yes.
Mr. Wage, just in 1 minute, we know we're starting tomorrow all the way to Friday, and we also know that the reporting date is date 12. As we summarize, wind this up, what is your parting shot?
They should put forward the reporting date to allow those students who have successfully reviewed this week to organize for themselves. It's never too late. Let every student be involved as per the government policy of 100% transition. Over the years, we have seen that policy of 100% transition have been heavily violated since the late Professor Magoha left the ministry. Magoha will go to slums and look for those children. Nobody cares whether those students today are gone or not there. Access to education is being affected by CBE because students are dropping out very late at grade 6. Somebody has done exams and feels that it's enough. So those people, we have currently students who graduated with the CAPSAYA certificate only. They are now mothers or they are working as housemates or whatever. And lastly, we must, as a nation and the government must be asked that they must now undertake radical surgery of the education. Part of that radical surgery is to embrace ideas whose time has come but may appear to be unpalatable. One of it is the JSS or moguls who are demanding for autonomy. If we cannot put grade 9 to secondary, then let us have this sector standing on its own. That is grade 7, 8, and 9, to be a bridge between primary and secondary. Let them have their own administration, administrative autonomy, financial autonomy, and staffing autonomy, so that they do their own things. Part of the problems we are having in JSS is a conflict between the HOI and these teachers. Let us have that autonomy. And lastly, employment of teachers beginning with the 20,000 K interns. It might appear expensive, but we are looking for masomo bora, sio bora masomo.
And that is about fine. That is my two guests, one Beatrice Omolo, an educationist, and also a parent, and also flanked by one Mr. Zablon Awange, the Executive Secretary for KUPPET. KUPPET is Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers. He is in charge, is the Executive Secretary for the Kisumu, KUPPET Kisumu chapter. And I believe the last 40 minutes has been this conversation has been quite informative to you as a parent watching, and to you as a learner, and also to the education policy makers, or the government policy makers that are entrusted to roll out the CBE to make it a success and to make it generate the objective that it was intended for. And we really hope that even as the review starts tomorrow all the way to Friday, and also the reporting date being the 12th, all these factors, suggestions that have been given here by my two guests probably will be taken into consideration. The GMK show continues, but the Western Spectrum, that is where I put a cap on it. My name has been Weekly for Cage, and before I hand you back to Nairobi, to the broadcasting house for the family check with my colleague Vivian Degwa, allow me to extend my appreciation to you, the viewer, for having created time to tune into this interview, and also my two guests. Thank you so much, Mr. Wanga. Thank you, Beatrice, for creating time to speak to us this morning. And also on behalf of the production team, led by the Nairobi team, and also the camera people just behind the lenses, Christina Diambo and Simon Yamatiko, I thank you, the viewer, and that is where I put a cap on conversation this morning. But this conversation has been necessitated by the ownership, or rather the management of Mirage Palace. That is the facility that has allowed us the facility to bring to you this conversation. And if anytime you are in Kisumu, may you want to pass by Mirage Palace, that is just located within the Kisumu city center, to sample some of the hospitality facilities that they have to offer. That is where we put a cap on this morning's conversation. But then GMK continues, and before Vivian Degwa comes back after this short break, let us take a short break, and when we come back, Vivian Degwa will be with you for the family check.
Mbona unatoa bandage? Madhiano ananikanta didi the next minute.
The two of you get out.
nipitie kesho usi. Unajua nafaa niende nishughulikie mokoro wangu.
Wapi failure number 1?
Amesema hataki.
Malipo ni mazuri.
Mbona unakaa uko deep in thoughts?
Ni historia ya dadi na nipatia stress.
Imekuwa too late.
Twende, you are a man.
Ulifikiria juu ya ofa yangu?
Mimi sioni nikipiga hii mboka.
Mali hii imetoka kuna nyingi sana.
Kama
Wananitagundu wakita.
Unajua the first rule of hospitality? Wakati mwingine vizuri kuangalia. Wacha kuita mimi kababa kama wacha kunigonga kala nguvu bwana unaniumiza.
Kemba suti mnanifurutia nini?
Peleka kisirani yako huko. Wewe, ni nani unazugumanisha hivyo?
Tuungane na mimi bwana. Ati? Si nilikoteza hii michezo ya watoto waacha bwana.
Tusikosane na vitu ndogo ndogo tafadhali.
Waenga wanasema.
Waenga walituajia namba ya simu. Aleta badali yake kwa nini umenifuta kazi?
Jamani.
I've been learning things about you that I wouldn't have imagined. It wouldn't surprise me if I found out something else.
I need to know the truth. Was that the reason? Was it because you found out that there had been something between Marcelo and my mother?
Do you really think your mother would be capable of doing that?
He knows about her. Ricardo Marquez already knows that Letty is his daughter.
Thank you for staying with us. Let us continue with our next conversation of the morning. And right now we will be talking about just how prepared are you for the new year. To be specific, new year mental preparedness. Just how prepared are you? Matters mentally. Have you already sat down and set yourself up for the new year? That is what we will be looking at this morning. And I am pleased to be joined by two gentlemen, beginning with the one seated on my immediate left, and we have Joshua Karanja. Joshua Karanja is a trainer and mentor. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, right next to Joshua, we have Cleopa Njiru. Cleopa Njiru is a counseling psychologist. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right, let us begin, gentlemen. You know, when we talk about one being mentally prepared for the new year, what does that actually mean? Let me begin with you, Cleopa.
We need to first of all look at the season we are coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Like it has been a season of many things happening.
Mm-hmm.
There are those people who traveled up country to get grounding with the culture where they come from, and who are there to certain traditions.
Mm-hmm.
There are those who remained in their workstations, in their urban setups. They could not manage to travel because of the financial reflecting about the future and the situation they are in. And then there are those who were able to celebrate with families, and they faced different uncertainties. So preparedness for the new year means you are looking at the pressures, the anxiety, the stress, the happiness, the joy that happened over the holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have started a new year with the new expectations, pressures of school fees, pressures of going back to school, starting over again. So it's a period where people have to really come back to themselves. So that coming back to themselves, how well prepared are they? How can they cope with the pressures that come with that? So it's a bit of coping with stress, coping with anxiety, coping with all the things that happen. Others are a little bit relaxed because if someone went for a holiday, they had a good time, so they are coming back full of energy. So it's a mixture of emotions, and each person has got a different way of looking at it, depending on what happened during the festival season.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you think, Joshua? When we say you're mentally prepared, what does that look like?
I also want to build from where my colleague has talked from. I also want to take it a notch higher, not just the holiday, but even the activities and the occurrences of last year, which we had a very eventful year. There are those that probably their jobs ended, or even their businesses went down. The environment wasn't that conducive. And so they are coming from a point of fear and going to the unknown. And so I think most of us are taking it a day at a time. We might not have that well worked out plan, but we're just taking it a day at a time with so much fear. You don't know if you'll get to the end of January, the 99 days of January. We are not sure if we
January, as they call
January.
it.
Wanasema hata ukificha cabbage kwa Uhuru bag, hakuna mtu nunua ball January, so tunajua ni cabbage. So we are just talking a day at a time, but we're also very hopeful that God will take us through. Yes, we are also hopeful.
Yeah, so there's not much about being prepared for the year from your point of view. Like, there's no point I can say, as Vivian, I feel like I'm very prepared for the year. Mentally, I'm well set to begin this new year on this particular note.
Yes, if I talk for my generation, there are times when we would, by first you have written down your goals, you have written what you'd want to achieve. It was well written up, but for last year and this year, let's say, we are just taking it a day at a time. And also, probably there were some unfinished assignments that you had last year. They were interrupted probably by the seasons that we had, as my colleague was talking. And so the preparedness we are is we finish what we were building last year, and then this year we see how it goes. So it's taking a day at a time. We are not really prepared for the year. That's what I would say.
We're not really prepared
not
for
really
the
mentally.
From your point of view.
From my point of view.
Okay, there's something you had mentioned, Njiro. You had talked about, some people, are coming into the year, having come from a year that was very difficult for them, a tough year that was 2025 for some people, So for someone who's now getting into this new year, okay, we are all into the new year, the ones who we're here now, like, how can you mentally reset from the tough year that was? If you had a terrible year last year, I know that we lost so many lives last year. So there are families that are still in mourning. As we speak right now, from the collapsing of the building that happened in South Sea, there are people who are in mourning right now. So how do you mentally prepare yourself for a tough year, for the tough year that was, or for the tough season that you might be in? And is it even possible to prepare yourself mentally for such?
There is something that happens because as human beings, some things are driven by what happens in our brain. Like now, when people are saying Merry Christmas, sending messages, having some celebrations here and there, then came 31st, New Year, when people are sending Happy New Year messages, when people are meeting with each other. The moment when you hear that Happy New Year, that gives you some hope. So there is something that is triggered in the brain by the event and by the celebration. So that alone changes the way people are thinking because of the positive messages that are coming. But then immediately you come to reality. Like what you have said, we feel sorry for those who may have lost their loved one over the period. And as he is saying, it's not only last year or one event, but we look at the whole of last year, quite a number of things could have happened. Some people may have lost their jobs, others may have lost their business, as said, but most precisely is anyone who lost their loved one, anyone who has a sick person who had to go to hospital even during this time. So all those people, they are coming to the new year with the mixed emotions.
Yeah.
There is the joy of a new year, but the reality of the situation they are in is still there. So what is important is, do we have help around us? Like those people who have already gotten to a culture of ways of managing stress. No matter how stressful the situation is, they have built resilience. So for them, coming new year, they still look at it with hope, with faith, that despite the challenges they may be going through, things will work out. So it is all a question of how well people are coping. And that's where now helps comes in. Like those people who may visit psychologists, counselors, go to church, you know, all those things helps people to cope with whatever situations they could be going with. And the culture would be like enjoying nature, even when things are tough, being able to connect with the family, with the friends, with the people who care, doing exercise. You know, there are many things that keep someone fit despite the challenges they are going through.
So if you're coming into the new year, you know, with it being a tough season for you, just find help. In one way or the other, find ways of, you know, getting yourself out of it, however hard it may be, just try to find help. And as you're saying, help doesn't really need to be you finding maybe a therapist to speak to. It can be as easy as you having a routine, you know, ensuring that, okay, when I wake up, I need to go for a run every single morning. That is also a way of you getting help in one way or the other, right?
Yeah.
All right, I get you with that. I want to get back to you, Joshua. And, you know, when you spoke about New Year resolutions and you're saying that was a thing of your generation. I don't know if you come from the same generation, but do you mean to say that you feel right now people don't put down New Year resolutions?
Not on paper. Before we were writing, in fact, I remember we used to write and even go with them to church the first Sunday na unaambia Mungu ndio hizi hapa. Nataka girlfriend, nataka job, nataka kuomoka. You know, you are very specific. But probably with disappointments along the way, even if you didn't get everything, what now we have is you've written them in your heart and probably in your mind. As much as we're not writing them down, doesn't mean we are walking in blindly. Yes.
So you feel like writing them down ni kama ndo swara. Ukiziandika no mambo ikui.
Exactly, jumeshaonyesha watu. Sasa and people are marking. Ulisema utapata dem, so tunakuangalia.
But you know, like having them down doesn't mean you're showing anyone. You see, like for some people, me being one of them, I believe in having like a vision board. So I have a vision board of something I'm seeing every single morning of the things I would love to, you know, achieve by the end of the year. So they're like small goals, yes, but they are put somewhere where I can see them every day.
In fact, even our faith, the one that is subscribing in the Christianity, Habakkuk 2 says, write down your vision in big letters, so that anyone goes will see. And again, Joseph goes ahead and said, the vision might delay, but it will come to pass. So I want also to speak hope to my generation that even if things didn't work out for you, you can still write them down. Sometimes delay comes, and delay is not denial, but it might come at the time that you are prepared for it. Because there are also some blessings that God can give you right now, and they mess you. Say God akikupea Subaru utateremka Naivasha upate accident, but ukiwa prepared na uko poa for it, si lazima go that route. So sometimes God looks at the capacity that you have in. So I also encourage my generation, even if we didn't get it, it doesn't harm to write. Sometimes you might not write it physically, but write it in your heart, and then always remind God, this is what I want to achieve for this year.
Yeah, because I feel like there's also the saying that if you don't plan, then you're as good as, it's like you're planning to fail.
Yes.
How does it go? If you fail to plan, then you're planning to fail. So, you know, there's that. So I don't know. I think that for some people, maybe it just works whereby unaingia tu kwa mwaka vile kutaenda kuende, you know, whatever comes. But I feel like, I mean, just having things set, not necessarily writing down if you're not the kind to write it down, but just knowing in your mind, okay, in the first quarter, maybe I would want to do this. I would want to do that. I would want to change the habit of coming late every time. Like small things like that, not necessarily at I want to have 2 million, you know, by the end of the year, and maybe you don't even have a job. Not that kind, you know, but just having things set down in a way, or put down within yourself, you know, this is what I want, this is what maybe I would love to achieve. Do you subscribe to that?
For me, I'll go into rituals. You know, there are certain things that people have to really be helped to protect our mental health, because they're important. And these things, you see them even when you are supporting someone with depression, anxiety, mood disorder. Sometimes when you help them to get certain rituals, then they are able even to manage their mood. So having rituals is important. And a part of it is those things that you can write. Like, for instance, journaling in the evening, affirmations in the morning. All those are rituals that we help people. The same thing at the beginning of the year, to have time to sit down and think about reflecting on the past year. What did you do last year? And there are people who are very committed to such things, reflection. The year is ended. I had planned to do one, I did this. Then they look forward to the expectations of the coming year. They sit down and say, for this year, these are the things that I would want to achieve. And some families, like even couples, there are people who are taking some of these things now seriously. Like, I've been invited by a few families. And I was amazed to hear them as a family saying, last year we met and we decided to do 1, 2, 3. This year we have achieved this. What are we planning for next year? As families, You see even children, they are being asked about their studies. There is a culture that is coming out that is very good. The same for couples. There are couples also who sit down and they reflect what has happened in the past 1 year. Did they have conflict? Were they always defensive? Were they having contempt? How many times did they go into conflict? How did they resolve them? So you see, it's not about money. Because sometimes when we are thinking of setting goals and resolutions, we may only focus on finances, material. But there are those things that have to do with our mental wellness, our mental well-being, our relationships, our emotional balance. You know, how are we going to be for the coming year? Where are we right now? So resolutions, for me, I feel it all depends with the individuals, but there are those people now who have made it a culture, a ritual, that at personal level, at family level, couple, if they are in a relationship, they are sitting down to ask themselves, this is how our relationship has been the whole of last year. This is where we are now. Are we going to propose in April? Because proposal is not just happens. People plan for it. They know that our relationship is now mature. We can move to the next level of commitment. And so if we are moving, then this is the time to sit down and say, we may have a wedding in August. We may involve our parent this time. That is now the maturity. And sometimes when they are being helped, when they have someone who is mentoring them, who is walking with them step by step, then they will come up with a very happy marriage afterwards. Yes.
I like that. And you know, you've talked about that, and I have actually seen that, you know, within these first days of the year. I have seen on my feed on Instagram, there are couples who, it's actually called Couples AGM. So it's a meeting, they have very young couples. So it's something that it's kind of a tradition. Every beginning of the year, they sit down as a couple and decide what worked last year, what are we carrying forward to this year that didn't get to work last year, what more can we do this year? And I feel like it's such a good way of approaching life, right?
I totally agree with you. I think it's a new way of handling things. I think it's and it seems like it will be very effective where you sit down And also, as you also go to the couples, like personally for myself, I'm also doing resolutions, but for me. Like which friends mattered last year or influenced my life. Ama walijaza tu phone book na WhatsApp. You know.
Ni wale wa cut off at the beginning of the year.
Not really cut off, but at least put them mali. For now, protect your heart. Because I think pia tulikuwa na expectations labda na some people would come through for you or even stand with you. Not even financially unafikiria atanijulia hali, you know. So I think this year it's also a time ya reflect. I also need to protect me. I also need to make a resolution on me, not sometimes on the outside or the kids or my wife, but also on me. Yes, I'm also thinking about me, and also agree with Cleopa, not necessarily financially. Yeah, pia there are things you can do ambazo zenye si za financial. They just need a decision. They just need a decision. And because the year is still young, you still have time to make those decisions and have time to correct. If they're not working, you still have enough time to correct before the year goes on.
And even with that, I had a question on, you know, just what role does self-compassion play in personal growth?
Thinking about yourself, I think that's what that you mean, self-compassion.
And giving yourself, you know, that leeway, you know, forgiving yourself for the things you feel,
Yes, I totally agree. In fact, the last part of the year, that's what I used to, that's the biggest conversation I had with young people. Because the blunders and the things that, the mistakes they have made, you'll find their families and the society forgives them, but they themselves don't forgive themselves. Especially unapata kama ni dem, aliingia kwa relationship, ajua aliingia kwa hiyo box aje. And so as much as alitoka akiwa ako hurt, but ametoka akiwa mzima, hajaji forgive niliingia, mbona nilifanya hivyo. And most of the people that I counseled the last quarter of the year, ilikuwa hiyo kukosa kujiforgive. And that is the message that I carried, and it cut across. That you also need to forgive yourself. Yes, you did that blunder. Yes, uliingia hiyo box. You did that financial mistake. Wengine walifanya gambling with money ambayo ilikuwa ifanye something in their lives or in their families. And they didn't forgive themselves for that mistake. But I used to tell them, Sai, you still have yourself. You still have yourself. So this year, jipende kwanza pia. Because you cannot, you give out of the abundance of what you have, from what is inside your heart. So I feel if you prioritize yourself, even the Bible tells us, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So look inside, as you're saying, have that personal compassion. Once you put yourself right, and again you'll set a standard of how you want people to love you. If you don't treat yourself, kama ujejipeleka kahawa, ujejipeleka pizza, ukae tu chini na ujibambe we mwenyewe, you won't have a standard for yourself.
That's true.
Yeah, so also as you do self-compassion, you're setting a standard of how you want people to treat you. Yes, so I totally agree with you. It's a great starting point. Start with self. It will shape your year.
Give yourself that self-compassion. Just be compassionate with yourself as well. You know, sometimes we are very hard on ourselves. We extend grace with other people, but when it comes to you, you really beat yourself down for something maybe you've done and you've not forgiven yourself for it. So yeah, I believe that's a really good thing to do. Now, the new year also comes with a lot of anxiety for some people. Like, it comes with a lot of anxiety of what the future holds. You know, you're seeing everyone else seeming like they are well set for the year. You know, everyone saying, you know, it's a blank page. I like saying that. It's a blank page. So you now start doing the writing of how you want the year to be. Like, you start writing your story of the year 2026, assuming it's a book that someone will read later. So it might come with a lot of anxiety when you feel like you're not really prepared for it. So for someone who's anxious, you know, about what the future holds for this year, maybe what's a tip that can be grounding for them?
The first thing is to acknowledge that anxiety is something that is with us all the time.
Yeah.
Every minute you are anxious about the next minute. Like now already, the parents who are having children who are going to now moving from grade 9 to the next, they are already thinking of, will I manage to get the school fees? Will I manage to get the school? That is anxiety. When you have anything to do. But now it gets to a point where you are too anxious that you start even panicking, you start having certain fears or certain occasions. You know, when it now moves from the normal anxiety or the starting of being able to adjust to the life that we have been living to come to the new terms. So when it becomes that is where now it becomes an issue that you may need to see a specialist so that you are helped with how do you manage now that anxiety. But for the normal one, there are some few things, like you have seen, some tips. Number one is let us focus on doing something, being creative, doing our work. Even if you are having financial challenges, if you are having relationships problems, meet people, start doing something. And when you are doing it for what outcome you will get. You know, we always think about money, the benefits, but do something that will help you engage in an activity or in an action because of the effect or the after of that action. Then value relationships, like love. Love, you know, we need to think love between family members, love, romantic relationship, love of your neighbor. You know, think about having an experience of another person just because that person is a person. And that's where now, when you have anxiety or adjustment disorder, you may need to choose seeing a therapist so that you have that experience of therapy, of someone who is an expert. So focus on having experiences. Could be romantic, could be friendship, family. Make intentional actions when you feel anxiety is coming in. But finally, your attitude, that even when you don't know how tomorrow will be, even when you don't know whether you'll get school fees, even when you don't know whether you'll get work, whether you'll pay rent for the coming months because of the situation, maybe after the celebrations and after the things that have happened in your life, there is a way you can change and start realizing everything that happens for a life, there is the positive, and if you take it positively, good things can come out of it. So your attitude, even when you are suffering, and sometimes to get that attitude, you may need someone to walk the journey with you. That's why we are saying be creative, do some work, don't just sit and say, I have problems. Even walking to see a friend, a family member, that is an activity. Farming, doing something, anything that can help you, that reduces the chemicals. You see, there are certain chemicals that cause, like the stress hormones, there are chemicals that cause anxiety when it kicks in. So when you do something, it stops now that action of the negative chemicals, and you bring in positive chemicals in your brain, in your body, and then you can be able to move on with life. So those three things are important to manage anxiety or stress or any other bad emotions. That is work, do something, not for money, but for when you do it, you are helping another person or you are bringing a greater good to the community. Then have relationships. And then finally change your attitude so that you have a positive attitude towards whatever is happening in your life.
All right. As we almost come to a conclusion of the conversation, what mental habits should we acquire? And maybe which ones do you feel like those ones are now so 2025, let's leave them behind?
To start with, I'd say the first thing you need mentally is is an open mind. An open mind means not getting attached to the failures or things that didn't work last year. Have an open mind that 2026 is here, it's a fresh opportunity. I need now to move ahead. Have an open mind. Forget what didn't work last year. Number two, go easy on yourself. don't compete with others. Go at your pace. You don't know who you're competing with. Naweza kuwa unakimbizana na mwenye unakimbizana naye ni Kipchoge. Ametrain for the rest of his life. And again, pia mwili yake na kule ametoka inamfavor. Probably you don't have that favor. You don't have that family boost that will give you to go ahead. Go at your own pace. And finally, accept yourself. Even ndio mimi niko, these are my flaws, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, this is my background. Accept yourself and move within your means. Once you accept yourself, you don't put so much pressure on yourself, and also you walk with an open mind in this new year. I think things mentally we will go, and also accept Indio Kenya tuko nayo. We don't have another country. This is the best country that we can have. Let's make the best out of it. I also feel it has a lot of opportunities for us, the young people. Yes, we can still make it here. We can still make it here. Let's have faith in it. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Njiro, what mindset shifts would you encourage everyone, to pick?
The first thing is strive for self-awareness, kujielewa. Like if you have gone through loss and grief, if you have gone through traumas in your life, you start helping yourself to deal with your past, all the way from childhood. So when you start every day, when you get an opportunity, and if you can invest your time, you can see specialists, if you know you have gone through traumatic experiences. We call them big T's and small T's. Big T's is that thing that is really traumatic, and anytime someone mentions that, you shivers. So strive for self-awareness, strive for healing so that you can go to that. Then the next one is emotional balance. Trying to see if you have been getting annoyed for the last year, if you are getting anxious, if you have been having mood swings, all the things that were happening, even the changing of thinking. Because if your thought process has always been on the negative, trying to find how can you change so that you can think in the positive. And then finally, build the relationships. Try to build healthy relationship with the friends, with the people who can help you, with colleagues, because all that is what will help you to overcome all the challenges of daily living. And seek help, because help is available. For long, people have not been asking for help. Now that we have people who have been licensed in Kenya to support people, it's important as we think of physical health, let us also think of mental health. The way we prioritize going to the hospital to see a doctor because of a physical illness, make a priority also to check in. Like I have had a few people who called me and told me, Cleopa, I don't have an issue. I just want a few sessions for check-in. Because when we walked the journey with you the other time, I was able to go through 1, 2, 3. But for now, I'm not coming to you because I have any issue. I'm coming for a check-in, and I would appreciate if I can see you maybe after every 2 weeks, after every 1 month, because I feel my mental health is important, and there could be things I'm going through that I'm not aware of, and I want to keep the pace. So that is my suggestion to Kenyans, that help is at hand. Don't struggle alone. Seek someone who can be able to walk the journey with you, instead of feeling like your life is not meaningful. You still have purpose, you still have value, and there are different ways you can get help.
All right.
Yes.
I love that, and I feel like that's a good parting shot. But I want to give you each a minute to give us your parting shot. Cleopa, you can just say that was your parting shot, or if you feel like there's something else you can add on to it, it's fine. But now for you, Joshua, I want you to speak to the younger people. I know those are the people that you mainly interact with and talk to. So to the young person who's watching us today, what would be your parting shot for them, for this, season that now it's a new year, things are seeming like, it's time for you to now make things afresh or make things work?
Yes, I'd want to tell them that we are in the new year. Among the many things that you've said, try to get opportunities to self-improve yourself this year. Be very intentional and deliberate. Self-improvement means at least learn something new that you have never done. Visit a new place that you have never gone to. Sometimes it might not be that expensive, but be deliberate. Jiambie hii Easter inakuja, nitaanza kuweka so moja kila wiki. By the time nafika April, nitakuwa na doya kuteremka Mombasa kujitreat for Easter. Try kitu mpya hujaifanya. Enda stadium kuwatch ball. Jibaie jazi, jiandikie jina yako. Just to do something to self-improve yourself. Learn a new skill. If you are a young couple, you're married, learn a new recipe, something that will keep you motivated for the whole of the year. So I will really insist on try something new and even try to self-improve yourself. There are very many avenues. Try a new habit ambayo unaweza fanya. Kama ni watu yuko now, try to be deliberate with them. Even if you're not living with them, you're a baby daddy or you're a baby mama, be intentional with them this year. Try to be intentional.
Okay,
yes.
Cleopa?
For me, I would like to go to couples, to people who are in relationship, to parents. We still have a duty to do because we have children, we have people looking upon us, we have each other. Things can work. Even if today your relationship is not working, just have hope and know there's things that you can learn to be able to sustain a relationship, because that relationship is what will help you to work well, to contribute to the society, and to be a better person. So there is hope. Instead of always looking at breakups, separation, divorce, let us start focusing on what we can do to make relationships work. Because when they work, everybody will be happy and they will be doing their work and they will be doing whatever they are supposed to be. So there is hope that we can all get help at personal level and at community and relationship level.
Okay, I love that. And this is how we're going to be finishing this conversation today. But I would also love to just maybe give you a tip that I am picking for this year, whereby you write down the good things that have happened, either at the end of the day or at the end of the week. Just note it down somewhere. Have a jar where you're putting down, it's a jar of good things. So if you like to call them blessings, by the end of the week, just write down the things you feel worked for you, what made you happy that week, and then you just fold it, throw it inside that jar. By the end of the year, you will realize just how blessed you were the entire year, or how things worked for you in one way or the other. Even if things might get tough along the way, those are jars that you'll be looking at and smile. So you can pick that as well. This is where we end it. My name is Vivian Degwa. My guests have been Joshua Karanja, who is a trainer and mentor, as well as Cleopa Njiru, who is a counseling psychologist. Thank you for staying with us. On behalf of everyone who has made the show a success this morning, we wish you a lovely day. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. We meet tomorrow, same time, same place, God willing. Goodbye.
Unajua the first rule of hospitality? Wakati mwingine vizuri kuangalia. Wacha kuita mimi kama kama. Wacha kunigonga kala ngumu bwana, unaniumiza. Kemba unanifurudia nini?
Peleka kisirani yako huko. Wewe, ni nani unazugumanisha hivyo?
Tuungane na mimi bwana. Ati? Sini nilikoteza hii michezo ya watoto waacha bwana.
Tusikosane na vitu ndogo ndogo tawatanyi.
Waenga wanasema.
Waenga walituajia namba ya simu. Aleta badali yake, kwa nini umenifuta kazi?
Jamani.
Got the fear of missing out? Want to keep up with all the latest entertainment news and latest celebrity gossip? From the latest rumors to popping events to the newest fashion trends, here is where you get all the tea or juice when it comes to entertainment, and you get it served on time. All that and so much more on Grapevine every single Monday only on KBC Channel 1. Remember, if you did not see it on Grapevine, then it most probably never happened.
It's a secret.
Secret? Come on, tell me.
What exactly are you doing?
Just go, okay? It's an important thing. Go on, go on.
I tell you, you gotta cut it out with all the secrets you have.
Yua, hata kama ningekumbuka, wengine hawatakumbuka.
Hicho si kisingizio.
Hey, we'll get there. The whole team is behind you. Relax, honey.
I'll tell him when the time is right.
She shows no signs of slowing down even with her hands are full at home or in the tennis courts, with her unrelenting determination to make the best out of situations and succeed beyond imaginations. Wanjiru Karani is a former Kenya international top tennis player who owes it all to her beloved dad, Abidan Mbugua, a pioneer journalist who loves sports.
My dad loved sports, and I got curious about this game that my dad used to play. And so when they would finish playing, I would